Okay, welcome into episode 41 of the SquadCast. We are in the basement of the Rod Peterson Show bunker here at the IKS Media Studios, and we are so pumped because, Max, it's NHL offseason. As a Maple Leafs fan, this is my favorite time of year, Max. This is where I get to, speculate away. It's a fun time. Max, how you doing tonight?
Not that great.
Not that great.
Got to be honest. Not
Max
that great.
is a little sad.
A little sad.
And
a little
we'll get to
melancholy.
that. We'll get to that in a sec. But there's a jersey on the set, and it's in between Rocks and Dar, the Flamingos, because our good friends.
Is it dusty in here? It has been all day on Twitter as I'm reading stuff.
Yeah, for like a couple days, it's been a little dusty in your life.
A little bit.
Wow, if you guys don't mind, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button. That'd be great. And let's blow up the comments. Ask us anything tonight. Send us in those comments, questions. It's NHL offseason time, everybody. It's CFL training camp time, everybody. It's the MLB All-Star break. There's tons of questions to be asked and tons of topics to be discussed. So send them in, whatever you want us to talk about tonight. Ask us anything. Bring it on. Let's have some fun. And maybe we can get your questions answered here tonight during the show. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends at Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. Rox and Dar. There they are, Darnell and Roxanne. They were in here last week, Max. What a great couple.
Fantastic segment.
Unbelievable.
Just good stuff from great
super
people.
fun. And, of course, they did provide our wonderful flamingos that don the set every single week.
That's right.
Rox and Dar, the flamingos. So there we go. Thank you, everybody at Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. If you need help with your business, make it more efficient, get the supplies you need. They explained it so great last week.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if you really want the best explanation that you could possibly get, go check out episode 40 of the SquadCast, opening segment, Roxanne, Darnell, fantastic people explaining their business fantastically. And hey, like Clark said, if you need supply chain solutions for your business in any aspect of the word, they just make things more efficient, man. And that's just what they're all about.
Extremely good people and great customer service. I think that's a winning combination.
That was my favorite story about just the small town that they go out to. I believe it was Frontier, if I remember.
Yeah.
Frontier, Sask, and they say, you know what? It's about establishing a connection long-term all the way through and commitment from day one. It's been the same for many, many years. So it's just fantastic to see that that's the morals that they run their business by. And, hey, they're fantastic partners of ours, and we couldn't be luckier to have them.
Absolutely. Max, I lost my script. Oh, no, it's back. We're good. We're going to get to...
How did you lose your script? It's digital,
it
man.
logged me out. It logged me out of the thing.
Wow.
I blame producer Alan in the back. Before we get to the top of the order, we got two things I just want to quickly mention. One, big shout out to our good buddy, Brian, the Snowman Snow.
Yep.
His fight continues. His Do You Want to Build a Snowman fight continues. We put the link in the comments a couple episodes ago. If you want to donate to his GoFundMe. What happened is he got called into the hospital a couple weeks ago, and it turned into they found a lump in his stomach area, and they weren't sure really what it was. And just got back. The results just got back. I guess he has pancreatic cancer. So, Brian, we're here for you, buddy. We got your back. We're on Team Snowman. And everybody I hope everybody just kind of throws him a good wish or a prayer or whatever thought that we got his back and he's going to fight through this. I know he's going to come out stronger. He's a fighter. Another weird segue here, but congratulations to Adam Schultz. Adam Schultz was our winner of our Wood Jerseys contest. He won a Wood jersey of his choice. And look at the applause in the back.
They know how cool a prize that was.
Yeah,
they know
a cool prize.
How cool it was.
Great guy. And like Max said after I texted him who won, because I did a live stream, and then I'm like, Max, Schultz, he won. And Max is like, oh, man, of all the people, he's going to appreciate that so much.
Absolutely.
Adam, I know he's watching because I've already seen him comment in. Adam, congrats, buddy. I hope you guys are figuring it out because I got you guys in touch with the Wood Jerseys guys.
Fantastic.
So
good
should
stuff.
be good. He's given us 3 thumbs up in the comments.
Excellent.
So that's great. Let's
Great
get
people
to
at Wood Jerseys as well as our contest winner.
Yeah, Ryan Moyer, the Wood Jerseys team.
They've been
they have a great
excellent to
thing
work
going.
with.
Excellent to work with, as Max said. And maybe we'll do something with them in the future. I think we got some.
I certainly hope so.
We got something up our sleeves. Now let's get to the top of the order because Max, I don't think we can delay this any farther.
I guess not.
There is a ton going on. Let's start with the NHL. The offseason is only a few days old, and already we've seen a trade of a former Norris Trophy and Conn Smythe winner, and everyone says he's terrible. We've already seen 2 buyouts of 2 guys who, I'm not going to say Hall of Fame destined, but 2 guys who are in the very good
They're in the twilights of their
the Hall
career.
of Very Good.
The Hall of Very Good,
And they're also in the twilights of their career, but it's very interesting. We've seen a guy waive his no-move clause already for the expansion draft. We've seen a retirement, which I'll let you talk about in a sec. We've seen a coach extended, and more. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
And we're not even at the expansion draft yet.
No. Now, Max, I was going to save this for a few topics from now, but I have a couple of house cleaning items I got to attend to.
Oh, boy.
And this is your time to shine, Max. Now, listen up. We all know Max is a Nashville Predators fan, okay? And there's been a certain player there for the last, 15, 16 years?
17.
17.
Been part of the organization since 2005.
Pekka Rinne, he announced his retirement today, officially. There he is. Look at that. A little blurry, but that's okay. The guy.
That's right. It's kind of like my eyes right now.
Yeah, Max is crying anyway, so he can't tell. Max, take it away. I'm going to let you go on Pekka Rinne.
Oh, man. And, we knew this day was coming. Everybody in Pred circles, again, the guy's 38 years old. He just had a kid. He's got a fiance. He's got a dog. In the very, very few social clips I caught today while trying to, again, wonder why my room was so dusty all around me. Oh, man, this guy has meant everything and then some, too. Not just hockey in Nashville, but really the community of Nashville. He wrote an incredible Players Tribune article that I got about 3/4 of the way through before I just couldn't read anymore. Had some really, really good stories in there just about his time being a draft pick out of Kempele, Finland, and man, I don't know how you script the ending any better. He goes out on a 5-0 shutout in front of, I want to say, relatively full house at Bridgestone Arena. It wasn't quite, I believe, the full capacity that he's accustomed to when the coronavirus wasn't a thing. But regardless, he went out on his own terms. I believe that was the best way that David Poyle, the general manager of the team, expressed it. He went out on his own terms, and man, I don't know. I could talk about this guy for 45 minutes, but 58th overall selection. There isn't even 258 picks in the draft anymore, and it was a long shot. He was an overager. It was a scout, Jarmi Kekalainen. No, not sure if he has any relation to Jarmo, but either way, he was the Finnish scout that saw this tall, lanky Finnish kid who came to be, as Chris Mason affectionately calls him, the Finnish reindeer. And man, oh man, he provided a lot of good memories for a team that was a budget team for a long time. And
yes,
he had to steal a lot of the 369 career wins that he got, 60 shutouts. Man, oh man, I guess the only thing that we'll leave for another day and just kind of enjoy the moment is he a true Hall of Famer? And I mean, he's a Hall of Fame person, at least in the circles of everybody in Nashville. And if he's put together the resume, I don't necessarily know. My bias in me says he certainly has. But at the same time, man, oh man, it's just been an excellent, excellent story to watch. And he was the lifeblood of the team for so many years. He did so many things around the community in Nashville. Co-founded the 365 pediatric cancer fund with former captain Shea Weber. And again, I could talk about him for 45 minutes, but regardless, what Pekka Rinne meant to me and my memories as a Nashville Predators fan, it's firmly in the front of my brain and will be for a long time. So I'm extremely excited to see when his number goes up in the rafters. Yeah, banner jokes aside, whatever else, is what it is. But man, oh man, that's going to be a banner raising that I certainly don't expect to see any jokes from if you respect anything that Pekka Rinne meant to not just hockey in Nashville, but the community of Nashville. So one solace that I saw, at least from David Poyle's press conferences, is that he's going to be living in Nashville with his son Paulus and his fiance Erica. So he truly has made Nashville his home. It really he's living up to the words that he wrote in his Players Tribune article. And man, oh man, like I said, it's tough to stop the tracks here, but I think I'm going to have to for now. But Pekka Rinne, congratulations on an incredible career. UC Saros, it's your turn now. I made a little meme today of one of my favorite films that kind of associated the passing of the torch, or the passing of the shield, as it were. And yeah, it's UC Saros' net, and man, he had one hell of a mentor in Pekka Rinne for the last few years. And again, it's UC's time to shine, and we'll see if, as Pekka alluded to in his Players Tribune article, we'll see if a cup can be brought to Nashville during UC's tenure. And man, oh man, just a tough, it's a very bittersweet day. Very bittersweet day.
What I take from this is that Pekka Rinne is the type of guy every team and fan base wishes they could have had. A guy like him on their team, a guy who stuck around through thick and thin. Nashville wasn't always, during that time span, a great team. They had some really good runs.
Yep.
but they weren't always a playoff team, and he was that type of guy who was always there. And there was that conversation for so many years where it was like, as long as the Preds have Pekka Rinne, they have a chance. It's kind of like the Carey Price conversation in Montreal, right?
Yeah.
But a little bit of a different scenario.
He
Anyways,
has meant that much. He really
has meant that much to the organization. So, big shout out. I'm looking forward to the is Pekka Rinne a Hall of Fame debate days.
Oh,
because
it's gonna rage.
that's
going to
happen for sure.
Absolutely.
Super pumped for that. Next on the topic list, we have the Duncan Keith trade. Now, this one, you and I are going to face off a little bit on this one. So Duncan Keith gets moved. There it is. To the Oilers for Caleb Jones and a third-round pick.
I love the picture selection.
Yes.
That's a good one. Is
Yes.
that producer Alan's work?
Alan did all of this.
Good stuff, buddy. I love it.
He did all of it. But it's an exciting day because this has been an absolute rage debate starter. There is a staunch group of people that say the Oilers are screwed. They got fleeced. There's a staunch group of people that say this is a massive move for the Oilers and perfect for them. And there's not much in between. So with that comes a lot of, I don't know, heated debate. Yeah. Now, we're kind of on one side or the other. Yeah. I'm a little leaning into the middle side because I get both sides of the argument. I think you're also in that boat, but you're definitely leaning one way. I'm sort of leaning one way. So, Max, Duncan Keith to the Oilers, $5.5 million, 2 more years.
Yep.
For a guy like Caleb Jones, 24-year-old guy. We'll get into that. And the third-round pick, we'll get into that. But what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts was that I was a little bit mixed up on this one. I mean, we kind of knew it was coming for about a week to 10 days. Obviously, the reports came out that the Oilers and the Blackhawks were working on a deal surrounding Duncan Keith. And now this is where human and hockey collide, right? This is a situation that Duncan Keith obviously is going to go in very much like Pekka Rinne will. He's going into the rafters at the United Center as one of the all-time greatest Blackhawks. Not just greatest Blackhawks defenseman, but just greatest Blackhawks of all time. And he wanted to be closer to his son Colton, who is, from what I understand, a very young man. And again, we all know what this last year and a half has been like, not being able to see family. And I guess he's only been able to see him once in the last 5 or 6 months when the hockey season's been going on. Very much similar to what Patrick Maroon went through, and he wanted to go back to St. Louis, took a bit of a discount, as it were, to go be closer to his son. So when you take the human element out of it, again, I understand. Again, you can't take the human element out of it. That's why the trade request was made, and that's why Duncan Keith is now an Edmonton Oiler. But with that being said, when you look at it from a hockey perspective, I am on the side of, okay, I mean, the Oilers got a lot of priorities to take care of. Picking up a 37-year-old defenseman, no matter how decorated he is, 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Olympic gold medals, there's no questioning the pedigree of Duncan Keith.
No.
But what it comes down to for me is, was this the move that you needed to make? Was this the chunk of salary that you wanted to absorb in a team that you, again, from what we understand, wants to take steps forward? So I guess playing connect the dots here, unless a James Neal buyout is imminent, I don't necessarily understand the pickup of this big of a cap hit when the Oilers have so many other priorities to take care of, especially in the goaltending department, especially when it comes to their bottom 6 forward group, because as we all know, that was really what hurt them against Winnipeg. Then they couldn't trust anybody beyond their top 6 forwards, and even then, there was still a lot of double shifting going on in the overtime games.
I would argue that they couldn't trust anyone past their top 3 defensemen.
Couldn't trust either of them. Couldn't trust their goaltenders, couldn't trust their forwards, couldn't trust their D-men.
That's part of what my argument's going to be in a minute, but I totally understand that. I don't know if I think they're able to address that still potentially a little bit with this move even happening. I feel like my side of it is that adding this type of guy to a team that simply doesn't have one of these is huge. And I think with a guy like McDavid and Draisaitl and that type of youthful and leadership, all they've experienced is failure so far. Right. When you bring in a guy in like Duncan Keith, and he brings that, the attitude that you have to basically kill yourself in order to win this thing, and I've done it 3 times. And we look at his time on ice. I get that this was 6, 7, 8 years ago now for him, but you look at his time on ice since then, and he's still putting up massive time on ice numbers. Take that down 5 minutes a game or 6 minutes a game. And I would love to see how he can fit into this roster right now let's put money aside for a sec. Just on ice production, he's going to go from like 26 minutes a night, or he led the Blackhawks in time on ice. I want to say the last 3 or 4 seasons, even though everyone's saying
on a team that wasn't very good.
On a team that wasn't very good overall, and with a defensive group that I feel like he hasn't had a whole lot of help lately, because Seabrook was his anchor, his not anchor, his crutch for so many years, his go-to guy, and even when he was still playing in the last few years, he wasn't effective. So then he goes, and then he's just got basically a carousel of new young guys coming in that have no experience. So if you put all that together with him basically carrying the Blackhawks defensive group anyways for the last few years, 24, 25, 26 minutes a night routinely, and doesn't seem to have an issue with it. I just want to see what happens when you take him down to 20, 21 minutes a night, 19 minutes a night, whatever it happens to be, and put him in a more specialized role where he doesn't have to be the only thing going for that team out there every single situation, like they had with the Blackhawks. That's where I'm looking at this trade and being like, this could work out really well for the Oilers very short term. Now, I want to put this argument out there along with this, of that the long term, that the Hawks fleeced the Oilers by getting Caleb Jones and a 3rd-round pick, potentially conditional 2nd-round pick. Caleb Jones is a 24-year-old defenseman, hasn't cracked the full-time roster yet as a 24-year-old. When you're in the NHL as a 24-year-old defenseman, if you're not a full-timer by this point, what are you? You're almost entering that. You're almost entering that state where you're like, is this guy even going to make it or not? Because there's 6 years of guys behind you that are coming up, and they're fighting for your spots. So the fact that Caleb Jones isn't even a full-timer yet at this age, like he's almost like a Travis Dermott. Would you be super worried if you lost Travis Dermott if it meant bringing in a guy like Duncan Keith? Like, I think that's the same type of conversation that you would have if there was the Leafs in this situation. And the 3rd-round pick, you said it earlier. What's the stat percentage-wise of 3rd-round picks actually becoming contributing
Something
NHLers?
like 15 to 20%. Like, it's not a super high chance. That's for sure.
So there's a chunk of people out there, who are very mad about this happening for the Oilers side of things, because they're so upset that Caleb Jones is gone. And, Caleb Jones is going to be so good for the Hawks. Where was this conversation 2 weeks ago before the trade happened? Was Caleb Jones this stud prospect that everyone was talking about for years? No. He was a very average prospect.
He was brought up as Seth Jones' younger brother.
Yeah, and there was some hype there because of that. But he was never hyped as going to be Seth Jones' level of good.
No.
He was going to be
Keith Gretzky.
3rd pair, 2nd pair, maybe guy. Yeah. And
no, not Keith. It wasn't Keith. Who was Wayne's
Keith.
Brother?
Keith was Brent.
Brent Gretzky, yes.
Keith was another, obviously, brother, but he wasn't the guy.
Sorry, Keith Gretzky.
Yeah.
Still along the Oilers' lines. I don't know. I think, to me, though, when you look
the price is being overblown for what they actually gave up, because I think everyone's like, oh, I can't believe they gave up Caleb Jones. Who was talking about Caleb Jones 3 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah. And I'm not arguing with the price they gave up. Again, you pick up a 3-time Cup champion, two-time gold medal Olympian, decorated. Like you said, the pedigree, the decoration, it's all there. Anytime you have a chance to pick that guy up, regardless of the stage of his career, you do it. Again, though, we can't take the salary cap out of this. We have to use that as an evaluation metric of what the Oilers are going to be able to build around it, right? You're picking up a Duncan Keith in the hopes that you're going to win. Yep. Well, as we've all learned with the Edmonton Oilers, it takes more than a Duncan Keith past his prime, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl to win. So I see a lot of guys that, at least as it currently stands, $11.52 million in space. Let's say that the James Neal buyout is coming, and we talked about it earlier. It opens up, another $3.5 million maybe?
James Neal buyout, yeah. I think this first year it would be about that much, but
and then you're looking at some dead cap implications a couple years down the road. And the Oilers were a little bit tighter on the cap this year. Everybody remembers at the trade deadline they couldn't quite pick up the pieces that they wanted to because they were a little bit tighter on the cap. So take this, you got $15 million in cap space, and I still see 9 roster spots that need to be filled out. And you need a little bit more on the contribution side, again, in that bottom 6 forward group. And you're going to have to lean a lot on these kids. Philip Broberg, Evan Bouchard, they're going to have to log some serious minutes and prove that they're ready in order for this move to make sense.
That's a great point. And who better to mentor those two guys than Duncan Keith? Now, we have to fit in some comments. Justin Dunk has logged in, Max, so we're already at a point where we've done two topics.
Segment one.
And it's
Nailed
already
it.
segment one.
Good stuff.
But a couple comments. This one's from YouTube, so guys, you won't be able to put it up. But David Buswa says, Keith is washed up. Edmonton got hosed in the deal. Now look for Chicago to make a run for Seth Jones since they have his brother Caleb.
I do think that's
It's the
happening.
Ducks having the Niedermeyer brothers.
Oh, that's
It's an interesting comparison. I don't know if Scott
Robbie Niedermeyer played a very, very pivotal role on that 2007 team that won the cup. Again, he was a third-line center that you needed. Caleb Jones as a sixth.
I'd love
maybe
to see the two guys on a pairing.
Oh, for sure.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Wouldn't that be interesting?
But
oh, man, that would make for some really good sound bites. Could you imagine that? Caleb makes a bad defensive play.
Come on, man.
Give Seth a minus. Bro, what are you doing?
I should have beat you up more as a kid.
Exactly. Oh, that'd be hilarious, though.
There's a couple Facebook comments I want to also read. Where did it go? Now, let's see. Okay, this one's interesting. Our good friend Patrick Janex. You can put this one up, guys. It's a big one. I think it's the extra punch to get Seth Jones now to come to Toronto. But maybe, but see what happens. Maybe there was other teams in on Keith. There wasn't.
Did you seriously just read that as Toronto? It clearly says Chicago.
Did I say Toronto?
You
Guess you know what I'm
we
thinking
need
about.
another week of you off. Another week off of this.
I won the Toronto Maple Leafs bet. I wasn't allowed to talk about them until the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later,
I did not
too.
mean to say Toronto. If I
Okay,
did, that's just a
Matthew
Freudian slip, you might say.
Oh.
Maybe there was other teams in on Keith, and the Oilers had to go up to top up to retain that salary. But basically, with Keith on there, line up, it's hard to get Barry to re-sign. Anyways, it's a long, convoluted comment.
Again, you have pieces that you need to lock up. You've filled a hole with an expensive piece past his prime.
But another underrated thing, I don't know if you mentioned it. Sorry if I missed this. You saying this, but Oster Klefbom, LTIR, is a heavy possibility. That's going to be $4.2 million.
But from what I'm seeing on Cap Friendly, shout out to our friends at Cap Friendly. They're awesome. I believe that's still...
It doesn't count until the season starts.
Yeah, again, so what does it do for them, though, really?
Over $4 million on LTIR? It lets them go $4 million over the cap. Anyways, Janelle Barkman, oh, hi, my boys. She sent us some stars. Thank you, Janelle. You're the best. And she said, yeah, I don't think the Oilers' locker room needed the experience and leadership this badly. It's a strange choice for what they gave up. I don't know, Janelle. I might argue that they needed a little bit of that. Now, here's the other thing. I said this before the show. Sorry, Max, I got to cut you off. I said this before the show, but, every team around the league wants a Stanley Cup winning experienced vet who's got grit and he's a warrior. Everybody wants that. Former individual trophy winner, insert trophy, Hart winner, whatever.
There's a lot of former in here, Clark. There's a lot of former.
But there's not a lot of former of those things. Those things don't come around. They don't grow on trees.
How did Spezza, Thornton, and Simmons work out for you in
Neither of them have won a cup. Neither of them have won a Conn Smythe. Neither of them have won any individual award.
Spezza's been to a cup final. Simmons been to a cup final. They didn't quite get it done. But
again, Keith has won 3.
Oh, well, the Chicago Blackhawks have won 3.
The big one, and I'm gonna end it here because we got to get to Justin Dunk because, as always, we rambled on one topic for the entire first segment, essentially. But Emery Wolf, does Caleb Jones help you win a cup, or does Duncan Keith help you win a cup?
At 32 years old, Duncan Keith helped win cups. At 37,
I'm talking 1 year
with a
right
team
now,
that just got swept in the first
round. Would you
round?
rather have Caleb Jones or Duncan Keith in your lineup right now?
Okay, again, that's a blanket question
just
with
asking.
no other factors involved in this whatsoever.
Okay. Before we start punching each other, we're going to go to a commercial break. The top of the order was brought to you by our good friends over at we're not going to punch each other. Our good friends over at Hoop Life Basketball, hooplifebasketball.com. They've got a ton of great stuff going on right now. Squad10 is the promo code to use to get 10% off all of their apparel, all of their camps, all their sessions. They have a new building going up just a couple blocks away from here. Super excited to get in there and see the finished product.
I heard Duncan Keith's over there working right now.
He better be, because he's the new top 4 defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers. He better be getting in shape. Anyways, Justin Dunks after the break. We'll see you in about 2.5 minutes.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Everyday hoop life.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. IKS Live, the proud producer of The Rod Peterson Show and The Recovery Hour. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is hitting bombs right now in the All-Star game, and Barry Davis is out here saying hashtag Plakita. Is that what you said, Max?
Plakita.
How do you spell it?
Plakita.
Oh, ITA.
Yeah,
Okay.
Plakita.
I was thinking double E or something.
No.
Plakita. That's fantastic.
But
so it's obviously, for those who don't know, Placata is like, what is it, like BAM or bang or something in Spanish?
Yeah, it's
so. Anyways.
It's the, what is it, Dominican version of I just hit a 468-foot bomb in an All-Star game, and I'm a beast, and I'm going to deserve a $300 million extension.
It became famous because in the home run derby 2 years ago, when he was smashing bombs, he yelled out, Placata, Placata, like, go, 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 like whatever it was. Anyways.
Love what Vladdy's turned into.
Speaking of crushing home runs, weird segue, but we're heading out on the IKS video chat now with our good friend, two-time SquadCast guest now, Justin Dunk. Justin, he is the 3DownNation CFL insider. Justin, how are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us.
Chilling, boys. Placata, placata. Let's get after it.
Let's get after it for sure. Sorry to keep you waiting. Me and Max were fighting earlier about Dunk and Keith. You probably saw a couple minutes of it.
Don't be sorry.
We literally, Justin, I don't know if you get into this because I know you guys do live shows and stuff. You have podcasts at 3DownNation. We had 9 topics in the opening segment. We got to 2 of them.
Well, 1.5, really. I still had some more points on Keith. But
yeah, and you could probably have gone on for Pecorine for another 10 minutes, too.
At least 35.
Justin, before you started, one of the topics we didn't get to was actually Conor McGregor and Poirier, the fight. Can you talk about that at all? Did you watch it? What did you think about it? Obviously, it didn't end the way everyone thought it would.
It did, man. I feel like with the way it ended and Conor McGregor suffering the broken bone, that we have to see the 4th one. Like, it didn't seem like a real actual finish, and everyone was talking about the trilogy, and this is going to be the last fight. Man, it's got to happen again. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say conspiracy. They broke his ankle on purpose so they could do another one.
The guy was standing on his shin, Clark. I don't think that's a conspiracy.
Hey, it's all money.
Bones aren't meant to break like that.
Money talks. Justin, it's so exciting because last time we had you on, we were talking about a potential season, but there really wasn't anything on the field to talk about. And now we finally get to talk about on the field stuff. And I'm so excited to get into that. But before we do, I have to ask the question. Obviously, the big topic kind of still right now is fans in the stands in CFL stadiums. It seems like most teams are kind of figuring it out across Canada. Where are we at right now in terms of, the league as a whole getting fans into stands, and what percentage-wise are we maybe looking at for most teams?
It's positive right now. The two sort of outliers for me were Ontario and British Columbia. And Ontario's about to go into step 3 of their 3-step reopening plan. So that would mean that on Labor Day, and I would think the capacity would get opened up if we keep going along this track even more, but that the Ticats could have at least 50% of Tim Hortons Field in there. And I think as we go, it seems like the uptakes in terms of vaccinations here will get to those numbers where, maybe it's 75 or dare I say full capacity like it is out in Alberta, or even where you guys are in Saskatchewan. And then BC, same thing. Sounds like 50% out there at the moment, but if the numbers keep going along and are trending downward and the vaccine thresholds are hit, that, it won't be too soon or too far away, I should say, that we have the potential at least for full barns. But to me, the other more pressing question is, are people actually comfortable going into these settings with, 30+ thousand, let's say, for example, at Mosaic Stadium?
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand that across the board. I know it's still kind of a touchy time. Not everybody's super comfortable yet, so that'll be kind of the thing to watch going forward. I'm going to jump right into a fan question, and me and Max have several for you, but this is just a reminder. Send in your questions now if you do have them, because they will get asked. Justin Rhett Hastings asks, what are we thinking about the Riders' O-line after Labatt chose not to come into camp this year? Is it going to make a huge impact, him not being there, or do we think it won't even be noticeable? What do you think about the Riders' O-line specifically?
Let me first just say that I love Brendan Labatt. Played with him in the CIS at the time, East-West Bowl, all the way back in 2007. So an absolute stud on the offensive line, although he only played 6 games in 2019. Now, that offensive line obviously had the likes of Dakota Shepley there, who is now in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers, carving out a career, dare I say. He's got a roster spot there for sure going into training camp, and spent the end of the last season with them. So you look at what they did in free agency to address that. Brought back home Evan Johnson, which I think was a massive signing, not just figuratively, but literally as well. And then you get Boyko, another hometown guy in there. So there's some versatility and flexibility, I should say, as well in those couple of guys. Boyko has played tackle and did so at UNLV when he was there with the Runnin' Rebels. But overall, it's an intriguing group. And to me, the key factor is going to be who lines up at that other tackle spot in terms of trying to protect Cody Fajardo.
Now, I tell you what there, Justin, I apologize. I'm not as well-versed in CFL chatter anyways. I'm a big LA Rams fan. I need to catch up on my CFL talk, which is fantastic to have you on to help educate me.
We can finally do that now that it's back, though.
It's back, and that's the most important thing, right? That's the thing that's going to get a casual fan like me back into the game. So with that being said, the headline that's been rattling around for me all week, and I apologize if you've answered this question 1,000 times already, what is going on with 4 Achilles injuries in 1 day of camp for the Saskatchewan Roughriders? And there's some notable names there. Larry Dean, 2nd overall pick. Clark will have to help me with the name. Nelson Locombo. Clark says it's something to do with the vaccine and messing up with ligaments.
Justin,
again, he's a big conspiracy theorist.
I don't know if you've heard it. There's a conspiracy that the vaccines weaken ligaments. And I'm just going to, I won't say a single
Clark
word
told
more
me it,
about
so
that.
I'm assuming it's coming directly from him. But I guess, Justin, what do you know maybe from the inside perspective, from the locker rooms, from the teams, maybe why the Riders just had such a bad spell of injuries, likening it very much to the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen this year?
Ooh, that's a good comparison. First of all, it's just bad luck. But then a lot of other people will say, okay, well, after the first one, did you reconsider the drill that you were doing? And after the second one, why didn't it stop? Universally, everyone that I've talked to around the league has said after 2, it would completely be done. So essentially what they were doing was a medicine ball explosion, speed, and burst drill. So the athlete, whoever it was, let's say Larry Dean as an example, throws the medicine ball as high and as far as he can and tries to run as far as he can. So it's a competition, right? Whoever gets the farthest wins the round type thing. And that's the drill that they were doing. So now my question is, okay, Who found out what at what time? Craig Dickinson, the head coach, in his media availabilities had said that, well, he found out about the first one from general manager Jeremy O'Day while he was in his office. And then O'Day subsequently called him into his office and let him know that there was multiple. But to me, if I was in that position, and I've never been a head coach, obviously, played quarterback in university in Canadian football, but I would have gone out on the field after the first one and said, okay, what's going on here? Like, how did this one happen? Firstly, I would want to console Larry Dune, who I was told was the first athlete that did go down. And then I would say, all right, what drill are we doing, and reassess it? And you for sure would have thought that after the second one, that would have happened. So I'm not sure if vaccinations had anything to do with it, guys, but that was the drill that led to the 4 Achilles tears.
I really hope that conspiracy is not true, but we don't have to worry about that conversation. But Justin, I just picture it, the Monty Python scene, the "'tis but a flesh wound" after the first time some guy's arm got hacked off. Well, keep fighting.
Boy.
Anyways, Max, you had another one.
That's a tough day at Riders Camp. But you know what there, Justin? I guess I want to maybe, before we get back into current CFL action, kind of a headline that dominated my timeline last night was Damon Allen picking up a position with the Las Vegas Raiders this year as part of the Bill Walsh Coaching Diversity Fellowship Program, if I'm pronouncing that name of the program correctly. Henry Burris participated in it in 2020 with the Chicago Bears and is now being brought back for 2021. So I'm not too sure how much you know about the program, or I guess what it means for some of these CFL legends that are picking up really prominent roles in NFL coaching staff. So I just wonder if you can maybe speak about that a little bit, and I guess what it means for a legend like Damon Allen to rejoin the NFL.
It helps that his brother Marcus Allen was a star in the NFL as a running back, right, and played for the Raiders as well. So that certainly helps, but it gets you a foot in the door and makes sure that they're at least being inclusive to that degree. I would hope it gets to the point somewhere here in the near future very quickly that we're not talking about a program to get Henry Burris or Damon Allen or anyone of color in the door in the NFL. But clearly Burris used it very well and got brought back by the Bears there in Chicago. And Damon Allen will be looking to do the same thing, coaching something that he has talked about in the past in terms of the CFL level. We've never heard him discuss it for the NFL because he's such a legend in the Canadian game. But to me, it makes a lot of sense. A mobile quarterback, a guy that can lend a unique perspective there in Oakland alongside John Gruden, who a lot of people want to talk about as an offensive guru. So to me, if he does well, it can lead to future opportunities.
Are you surprised with a guy like Damon Allen getting this role now, that he hasn't taken more roles in the CFL in the last decade or so?
A little bit, but then you got to understand that he has lots of other things going on. And lots of times also what happens in the CFL, and you guys well know this, that it becomes a political game. Who do you know? And Damon Allen's not necessarily connected strongly with the leadership around the league right now. By leadership, I mean general managers or head coaches. They know about Damon Allen in the league, but they haven't had those personal experiences. Like, let's say, for example, in Edmonton, you have Brock Sunderland and Jamie Elizondo, who were together with the Ottawa Redblacks. Elizondo, offensive coordinator; Brock Sunderland, assistant general manager. So those types of bonds are made when you're in those roles coming up through. And then once you get in a role like Sunderland as a GM, you can hire a head coach, brings in Elizondo. So that hasn't happened that way for Allen, but he's found another way to go about it in the NFL.
Yeah, and as you mentioned too, Justin, right, it's definitely helps when your brother wins Super Bowl MVP honors, rushing for 191 yards in the big game, and I guess bringing a title when they were back in Los Angeles anyways. But again, we digress with that. But tell me a little bit about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Justin. Obviously last time we saw the Canadian Football League, the champions of the league. What can we expect from this team? Most of the core is obviously coming back, as long as Andrew Harris can make it through practices on a consistent basis. Can we expect them to be a team that's going to contend again here in 2021?
Yeah, he's got to get a new personal assistant, hey? Who schedules an appointment during practice? Come on.
I think the appointment might have been a bit of a lie, guys, because the head coach Michael Shea is saying that he's going to let Harris take it easy for a couple weeks, so he doesn't even have to worry about practicing. As for the Bombers' overall veteran-laden team, and that's why O'Shea is taking the approach that, hey, I want to make sure my guys are healthy when we get to the regular season, maybe not bang them so much, let the younger guys do the banging, decide some of those back-end roster spots. And you mentioned some of the guys have been brought back in large part. That entire Grey Cup team is back from 2019 now in 2021. You have Zach Collaros, a quarterback who had that great run, obviously after the unfortunate way he started week one in 2019. You have Darvin Adams there. To me, one of the intriguing pieces on offense is Cam Meredith, who is actually living in Winnipeg with his, I believe, either girlfriend or maybe now wife. And they stumble upon him living there, a guy that, to be honest, I had on my fantasy roster at one point because he had nearly 1,000 yards with the Chicago Bears a few years back. So that's a guy that I'm really curious to see how he takes to the CFL and if he can learn the nuances quickly and pick up Buck Pierce's playbook to give Collaros another target there alongside the number one threat, Darvin Adams and Kenny Lawler. The offensive line is still the best in the league, anchored by Stanley Bryant at left tackle. And then you have Willie Jefferson on one end, Jackson Jeffcoat on the other, Adam Big Hill at linebacker, and a veteran secondary led, I would say at this point, probably by Brendan Alexander. So it's a veteran team that is made to win right now.
CFL players are usually pretty good at being vocal on Twitter, Justin. We see it a lot. And the kind of vibe I'm getting that there's two teams that kind of feel like they're being almost disrespected. As Rod would say, that John Lynch would say, they disrespected us. Now, those two teams that I've noticed in the West seem to be the Edmonton Elks. They seem to have a chip on their shoulder a little bit. And I'm so good to say Elks, too, by the way, actually a team name. We haven't said that much yet, Max.
No.
And then in the East, I feel like the Montreal Alouettes kind of feel like people are overlooking them. These two teams, do you think that they could surprise a few people and make some waves in 2021? I'm trying to think now. What season are we in? 2021.
You got it. Short answer for both. Edmonton, yes. Montreal, no. Longer answer, the Elks are absolutely loaded on offense. Trevor Harris looks like he could play, to his 50s if he wanted to, the way that he's going on this TB12 diet and workout program he's really taken to. You got Darrell Walker there, Greg Ellingson, a bunch of threats. They're really high on their defense, the younger guys as well that they brought in there to go in Noel Thorpe's scheme. And in Montreal, to be quite honest, I feel like there's too much of a bias from general manager Danny Machocha signing Frenchmen. Like, I have nothing against French people or anything like that, but at the end of the day, you need to sign the most talented players. Like, someone made this point to me. If the Montreal Canadiens base their roster on signing Frenchmen, would they have gotten to the Stanley Cup? Now, it was quite a run and something that was impossible to predict overall, but still, there was only one guy, Philip Deneau, and when they were winning, the media there didn't question whether Deneau was in or out of the lineup. So that's going to be very intriguing to see. Is can Machocha's plan pay off? Obviously, they hope it does at the business office and in terms of the ticket sales and all that kind of thing because of the familiarity there. They're hoping draws in that French crowd. But ultimately, winning is what matters. It didn't matter that Kahari Jones and Vernon Adams Jr. only speak English. That didn't matter. They won. They hosted a playoff game, and there's so much excitement there in Montreal. So there's a lot of people saying that, hey, they could be battling with the Red Blacks for last place in the East and might not even make the playoffs, assuming that a crossover happened from the West.
Now, Justin, I'm not too sure what the weather situation is like where you're at right now, but in Saskatchewan, it's been a little dry lately. So when Coach Craig Dickinson says, hey, we've got a big, tall drink of water here, referring to 2016 former Denver Bronco first-round pick Paxton Lynch, obviously it's a name. It's somebody that could possibly chip in if there's an injury. What do you make of Paxton Lynch and what, I guess, again, his makeup of 6'7", 244 pounds? Do you think that's something that could possibly translate to the Canadian game? And obviously he's been outspoken saying that he really wants to get back to the NFL for obvious reasons. But what do you think his impact could be in Saskatchewan? Obviously we went through the Vince Young scenario. I think this is a very, very different situation. But with that being said, what does Paxton Lynch possibly have to bring to the Saskatchewan Roughriders? And can his big frame translate to the Canadian game?
It potentially can, and he's talking much differently than, let's say, Johnny Manziel before he came to the CFL, who was the last former first-round NFL pick in terms of a quarterback to come north of the border. So I really get the vibe in listening to Paxton Lynch and then talking to some people around him in the organization that have been close to him that they feel like he's going about this in a hardworking manner and is not disrespecting the CFL game, which happens all too often with Americans coming north of the border, right? They think it's going to be easy. They'll come here for a year, maybe two, dominate, go to the NFL and start making their millions of dollars again. It doesn't generally happen, and it's never happened in the history of the league with a former first-round NFL quarterback for them to, let's say, run out of opportunities down south, come up here to the CFL, play well, and go back to the NFL. It's literally never happened for a first-round pick. So the odds are stacked against him, but to me, the odds don't mean anything because he could be a different case. The physical traits are certainly appealing. All of 6'7", head coach Craig Dickinson said, big dude, up over 240 pounds. I mean, when you're that tall, you're obviously going to weigh in more, but he's got the ability to move around, has a really strong arm, and was more accurate, I think, with Denver than he was given credit for. Completed over 60% of his passes. Now, smaller field, different game. He didn't even know that there were 12 players on the field in the Canadian game, so he's going to have to go through that, which is surprisingly difficult for a lot of these American quarterbacks to pick up that 12th guy up here, something that as a former quarterback in university in Canada is just second nature to me, but they seem to struggle with it. So he's going about it the right way, but it's still early. So I don't want to get into any projections and, can he pitch in? Can he help? But I will say that you're always looking for that next guy at the quarterback position. Everybody obviously loves Cody Fajardo. He appears to be the franchise guy, but he's done it for less than one season, and he's never done it as the bona fide number one starter going into the season. A much different role, and defenses across the league have had plenty of film to study from his 2019 season to try to slow Fajardo down. So you always need a bona fide guy behind your starter. Isaac Harker did get a little bit of playing time, and the Riders do really like what they've seen out of him, but there's no doubting that Lynch's physical traits are far beyond Harker.
And the old adage is you can't teach size. So there you go. He's got that going for him. Justin, if you were 6'7", 244, would you be a CFL Hall of Famer by now? Craig Smith's in our comments.
I would have played the Canadian University game.
Craig Smith is in our comments, and he's already saying, every time you're on, he always says, I scouted Justin back in 2008. I think you ran a 4.68, if I can remember correctly. There you go. There it is on the screen. You can see that. Craig Smith always has.
Smitty. He did everything he could to try to get me a CFL shot. I remember sitting my only interview at the Combine, can't remember the exact year, 2009 or 2010, was with the Riders. And I remember, dude, I was sweating my balls off. I don't know if I can say that on here, but absolutely. I just did.
Yeah, we're late night.
Brendan Tammons across from me. Craig Smith was in the room. Yeah, it's late night.
Yeah, we're not on national television. We're good.
So, man, I was sweating all over. Like, I had this suit on. I wanted to come across the best. And I'll be honest with you, Craig Smith, Smitty, who I refer to him as, he was always in my corner. He was trying to get me a shot even when he was in BC as a receiver. So if I was 6'7", I don't know if those American coaches could have said no to me like they did back then. But on to better things.
Absolutely.
Let's name names. Which coaches said no to you? No, we don't have to do it. Justin, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, speaking of quarterbacks, they seem to have one of the most interesting quarterback situations of any team in the league, I think. They have a guy like Dane Evans, who just recently took them to a Grey Cup final. They have Jeremiah Masoli, who's extremely capable of doing that as well, and has shown that he can put up big numbers also. Those types of situations don't come around very often. Is this a situation where they're going to keep both of these guys? Because the old saying is two quarterbacks is better than one. If you got two, you might as well keep two because you need two to win in this league. Injuries always happen. Or is this a potential trade incoming?
The plan to start the season is going to keep two. Now, I think Jamar Smith, I believe, who is the third quarterback right now on the roster, who was with the New England Patriots for a little while, could change that. That's essentially what happened when Johnny Manziel was there. It's that Dane Evans was the number 3, and they liked what Evans was doing so much, and obviously the offer so much from the Alouettes, that they traded Manziel to Montreal for all those picks and players. So if Jamar Smith, and I hope I have that name correct, starts to show himself in practice, I mean, it's still early, then maybe it's a trade, but I get the sense that it's going to be Masoli and Evans there the entire season, and the best guy is going to win in training camp. Orlando Steinhauer's come out and said it, even though Masoli got $125,000 signing bonus on his one-year deal for 2021 and is not guaranteed, but his hard money totals $350,000. And Dane Evans, guys, scheduled to make approximately $100,000 in hard money, what they call in the CFL, essentially guaranteed. If you play, you get that money. Even if he gets hurt, he's going to get that money. So overall, to me, that $250,000 difference doesn't mean anything to Ticats. And I believe Steinauer because he seems to be a truthful guy. He's not somebody that is deceitful in the media, and it's really a true competition there. And also, it gives us a window into the future, and that's what I think not a lot of people are talking about. Yes, the Grey Cup is in Hamilton in 2021, but the real key for me that is not factoring into the conversation when people are talking about it for 2021 is if you're the Tiger Cats, do you want to see what Evans can do as the number one guy before potentially you hand out a big contract to him? He's 5 years younger than Masoli. Masoli's 32, Evans is 27. So you would think that come the end of the year, if Evans is indeed the guy they want to go with because he's younger, that needs to play out on the field, and they need to see it even more. Kind of like what's going on with Fajardo in Saskatchewan. It's obviously a little different situation, and Evans didn't play as much as Fajardo. But still, I think the future plays into this decision even in 2021.
One of the biggest storylines, and I'm going to say over the offseason, but it's been like 2 years. So has it really been an offseason? But one of the biggest storylines is the Toronto Argonauts have gone out and they've added literally every person under the sun. Charleston Hughes comes there, Enoch Mwamba, I think like 32 receivers, including guys like Martavis Bryant, Kendall Wright, big NFL names, so to speak. A lot of guys. Shane Ray was another name, the defensive end. Sean Oakman. How many more can I name?
They must have got a memo saying there's 14 guys allowed on the field this year.
They can add extra guys. That's how much the CFL wants Toronto to win. They're letting them add extra guys. Yeah. But Justin, what do you think about that situation? Because I know everyone's talking about the money, but can they realistically keep a bunch of these guys and really put together a special team?
Well, they can keep as many guys as they want because a lot of those former NFLers are on minimum salary deals, $65,000, with a little bit of incentives here and there for playtime or awards or whatever, but pretty generic, basic contracts. And you actually got to get Martavis Bryant and Kendall Wright up here. Right now, they're on the suspended list, and they haven't been out on the field with the Argos. So in terms of the other guys that they added, like you mentioned, Enoch Mwamba, Charleston Hughes, DeVaris Daniels still has not played a game in an Argos uniform. Guys like that, Johan Briskason would be another one, the Canadian receiver who has, I think, all-star potential. So a lot of players got to come together quickly in this new coaching staff with Ryan Dinwiddie, and it helps that there's familiarity there with the quarterback, Nick Arbuckle. There was some talk before the season was made official and that they were going to actually go ahead with this, that it could be a competition between Arbuckle and McLeod Bethel-Thompson. But I'll tell you, the contract status certainly does not show that. Bethel-Thompson got no upfront money. Arbuckle got, 6 figures in terms of upfront money. I don't have the exact number, but that tells you who's going to start for the Argos because they want to fit all these other guys in on the roster. So to me, it will be really intriguing. A lot of people are hyped up about the Argos and jumping on the good ship Argo with the boatman. But there's a lot of pieces that need to come together quickly here, including a coaching staff that's together for the first time.
Absolutely. Now, Justin, I saw a headline today, and I'm hoping you're in on this in terms of the story, because U Sports tweeted out just, I want to say a couple hours ago maybe, that they're entering the esports world. Have you seen this headline that U Sports is joining esports, and do you know anything about it?
I did see it, and to be quite honest, I don't have any other background details on it, but I do think it's very smart.
Yeah, so I think by the sounds of it, every U Sports university is going to have a team of esports players. This is weird because it's
pretty sure
esports entering
Justin's
esports.
answer was literally word for word the exact same as mine. It's just very smart.
It's very smart. It's the new way of the future, and I just think it's super cool. So what game would you be a part of if you were on a U Sports esports team? What's your go-to game that you would be the captain of the team?
And what would be your team name?
Oh, and what's your sure, yeah, on the spot, what's your team name? Don't say the Guelph Griffins.
Well, how about I go with my old screen name when I was at Guelph was Dynamite Dunk because somebody gave me that nickname way back that liked alliteration. So it'd be that, and I would definitely play Madden. Like, easily was the best Madden player. I'm sure I would get chirped by it, but in the Guelph locker room when I was there, and it would have to be Madden. I tried to play Call of Duty, tried to play Halo a little bit, was never good at those games. I don't know if I don't have fast enough thumbs or whatever the heck it is, but certainly it'd be Madden.
Awesome. Max, you have another one?
I don't know. I kind of like alliteration too. I'm thinking Dunks, Dunkaroos. Bring back the Dunkaroos snack. You know, like I don't know, a little something. Hey, just saying, Justin, if you're looking to get in on it.
Hey, how about that video the other day of was it Shea? What's his name? The guy who dunked the Oreo doing a front flip. Can you do that, Justin?
Shea Ross, yeah.
Yeah, Shea Ross, that's it.
Oh, my God. Not now. I don't even think I could have done that when I was 20, when I was his age. That was incredible.
That was pretty unbelievable. That's really cool. Max, you had another one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got a few more for you, Justin, if you have the time. Once again, thank you very much for your time tonight. This has been great. But obviously, you're very well versed in all sports anyways. But outside of the CFL, with so much going on in the world of sports, what else has your attention right now? Obviously, the NHL offseason's kicking off. We're kind of right smack dab in the middle of the Major League Baseball season. NFL's getting kicked off in, I want to say 6 to 8 weeks from now.
Close, yeah.
It's a pretty busy time. What else is keeping your attention in advance of the start of the CFL season that's piquing your interest?
Yeah, for me, there's a few things, guys. Obviously, what happens with the Olympic Games, and there's, I believe, a state of emergency out there, and we saw Bianca Andreescu pull out, and I would imagine that we're going to see some more athletes do it because of the uncertainty surrounding the game. So to me, that's a major storyline that I'm watching and curious to see how many athletes pull out and how does it affect the games overall, and do the games even go forward based on the situation with COVID-19 there. The other two major ones for me are the Blue Jays. You guys talked about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. off the top, Pacata hitting those bombs and becoming a superstar. When do they get back to Toronto? There's a lot of talk that it could happen potentially by the end of this season. A lot of people really want it to go that way, but there has not been, and I can give you this update, no formalized decision from the federal government yet. So the Jays are a very intriguing one to me. They got to go get some pitching, boys. And then the other one, because I'm so close to the border in the city over here, is the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, an absolute stud, is in the MVP conversation. A lot of people think the Bills, with him, can rule the AFC East for years to come. I'm sure the Miami Dolphins and the Patriots and Bill Belichick and even the Jets with Zach Wilson, we'll see. We'll have something to say about it. But Allen and the Bills look absolutely loaded and ready to roll again. And your Canadian connection there, guys, because I got to give it to you always, Curtis Rukavina, who is now, I believe, moved up from pro scout. He was with the Argos before, actually played with me at the University of Guelph. So has moved up in that world there, is very well respected by Brandon Bean, the general manager in the front office. So he's going to lead their free agency meetings. So he'll be doing a lot of their scouting behind the scenes. So that's your Canadian connection. But to be quite honest, Blue Jays, Bills, and Olympics in the windshield, let's say.
Got a couple of fan questions for you, and then I think Max is going to fire some at you, so be ready for that, because Max is, I've seen the list. It looks pretty good. Jamie Anstey out in Halifax, he says, Justin, being a quarterback yourself, who do you see being the Bears' opening day starter? Jamie's a big Bears fan. Andy Dalton, or do you see Justin Fields taking over?
All right, well, if I'm the head coach there and Justin Fields is playing well in training camp, I don't see how you can't not make him the starter. And I heard a couple answers that he's been asked, Matt Nagy, and he used all these qualifiers. Well, our plan right now is to start Andy Dalton week 1. And if it happens with Justin Fields, we'll get to that when the decision occurs. Like, there's all these qualifiers, you know what I mean? It's not like he's coming out and saying, Andy Dalton is our number 1 quarterback. Stop asking me the questions until I tell you that Justin Fields is maybe going to be in the mix, something like that. It's not happening. So if it was me, I would let it play out through training camp, make it a true competition, and whoever performed better starts. Don't hold it against Justin Fields that he's a rookie. I get it that you traded up to draft him. Everybody's going to want to see him on the field. But if he needs to sit him. But if you think he's ready to play, play.
David on YouTube is asking, is the CFL going to revisit the talks with the XFL after this year's Grey Cup? What do you know about the future of that relationship that hasn't happened yet?
Yeah, it's so weird, It's possible that down the line something happens, but the sense that I got is, what was the XFL bringing to the table other than 300,000 plus Twitter followers? Like, they had a solid TV contract there, and ESPN took it really seriously when they were doing the games and had their actual own people doing them. But outside of netting a big-time American television contract, what revenue does that add to the CFL? And then if you do actually potentially enter into a business relationship with them, business guys, it means money. So what money do you have to share with the XFL that the CFL owners are going to want in their pocket? So I think there were a few things that changed. Obviously, single game sports betting being legalized in Canada, the CFL did see that coming. So I don't think that necessarily changed the whole tide of the conversations. But to me, it's always tricky, and you guys know this, a little bit, I'm sure, in terms of what's going on at the Rod Peterson show or just business in general, that when you're talking business, you're talking about money. So when you can't divvy that up, it becomes really tricky, and it's something that's hard to do because you have the owners up here, some of them obviously losing millions of dollars every season, that want this new gambling money or want any new money that you can get potentially from live streaming rights or what have you to go into their pockets and not have to split it up with the XFL.
So I guess we'll just leave it as a possible pre-relationship is what we'll call it.
Pre-relationship.
Pre-relationship.
Pre-relationship, yeah, maybe with the arm extended and potentially never happening.
Exactly.
Feel free to use that on your next headline, Justin.
Absolutely. But now, Justin.
Pre-relationship.
Yeah, exactly. We've now hit the bonus round, Justin, where it's time for a little bit of rapid fire. So just kind of going throughout the little bonus time. But so I want you to be Ross Atkins for us now. Obviously, you've been paying attention to Vladdy and what he's been doing. When and what does the extension look like if you're Ross Atkins? Are you handing Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
You know what? You were talking about it earlier and saying it's going to be like $300 million plus, which it's going to have to be. And it's probably going to get close to $400 million, maybe $500 million by the time it gets there. To me, the Jays, they haven't handed out, and they've been hesitant to do it, those super long-term contracts, right? Like the max deals that we're talking about where you see it go into the double-digit amount of years. So I'm very curious to see if they actually do step up with Vlad Jr. and do this. He's a guy that you've drafted, you've developed, and has such a connection to the Blue Jays that Rogers, I really hope, gives Ross Atkins the ability to do it, because it's not going to be Atkins' decision. It's going to go through Mark Shapiro and ultimately Rogers, the owner. So I do see it happening. But until it's actually done, I'm not going to believe, because the Jays have not done it with any other player. And this season in particular, you look at the money they invested in George Springer, and I know he had the injury, but that's not necessarily going so well when they could have spent that money on pitching.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, again, like you said, the long term, I think that was the record this year, was handing out a 6-year free agent contract for George Springer. And yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. It's going to be long. It's going to be massive. Let's just see exactly when it's going to take place. Now, Dustin Poirier, outside of that rematch, what does Conor McGregor's next fight look like if he takes one? Who do you think in that current division that he's in? I believe he's still in the lightweight division, welterweight division, one of the two.
Alan, what division is he in?
Is he somewhere, I guess, fighting some middle tier guys? Because he's clearly not at the top of the class anymore in terms of his abilities anymore.
He's not, but it doesn't matter. He's a name, right? So he's not going to take a fight, I think, against somebody that's lower down the ranks. He's going to either fight in the UFC, or maybe it's another boxing match or some sort of an exhibition here. He's all about the money. That's pretty clear now. And my boy, Arash Madani, friend of the show, obviously, had a great tweet the other day that he said he's essentially living on a reputation that he doesn't currently live up to. So it's going to be a fight that involves money. It might not be in the UFC, but I don't think he's going to put his body on the line after he suffered a broken ankle to go against some, middle of the road, middle of the ladder, whatever you want to call it, guy in his division in the UFC.
Let's be honest. It's going to be Jake or Logan Paul. we don't have to beat around the bush.
It very well could be at this point, yeah. Alrighty, Justin. So here's the hardest hitting one I've got for you, and then kind of a semi-serious one to end. Damon Allen or Henry Burris to win you the Grey Cup. Who are you taking as your starting quarterback?
Let's throw Reggie Slack into this conversation as well.
Eddie Shack? I thought he was a hockey player.
Slack. Eddie Shack. No, not Eddie Shack. You can put, we all know Reggie Slack is the good answer, so we'll pick between the other two.
Wow, boys, that's quite a question. I'm going to go with Damon Allen in his prime. I'm just thinking of two quarterbacks and where they were at their height, and I'll go with DA. I'll rock with him. I think he's got more mobility than Henry, so if I need a first down, he can scoot out there with his legs, and he had some great seasons, obviously, as a passer as well. So man, I got to go with Damon Allen.
The best part about that is if we put this clip out on Twitter and tag Henry Burris, he's probably going to make a comeback attempt. And when he wins the Grey Cup, he's going to say, "Hey, Justin Dunk, you can shove it," because he loves to do that.
That would be the ultimate dunk.
That would be great. Actually, it'd be great exposure for
I'm
you.
all right with it.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Justin, a serious one for you to end here. Obviously, expansion talk, I believe, anyways, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's obviously died down a little bit with the Atlantic Halifax Schooners or whatever it may have been. I guess with obviously the state of the league right now, when is a realistic time that we could be seeing CFL expansion talks being tabled once again in the league?
Yeah, I think there's so much to get through until that happens. And in Halifax, I believe there's a new premier out there. I'm not sure if Mike Savage is still the mayor. I'd have to double check on that. I'm not up on my Halifax politics. Forgive me. But overall, I think it's going to be a while down the line. Sorry, boys. I should check in with my maritime buddies out there.
Perfect. Yeah, text her Ash. Text her Ash. He'll know.
Or Darren Burns, right? You guys know Darren Burns.
Darren, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I just think overall that all of the teams across the league that are currently functioning have to get on more firm financial footing, let's call it, before that's explored again. And you're really going to have to get the politicians on side out there. Now, I say Savage because he was pro CFL and they had cleared one major hurdle where they got $20 million that they were going to be given if they got the go ahead from the province overall, from the Halifax regional municipality. So that was a big chunk of money that people didn't even think was going to get passed. It did, but now you're kind of starting from square one again because you have COVID-19 and all of the finances that went to that and saving lives out there and doing real actual things, other than sports. I understand that we love sports, but there are more important things. So I think this can be far down the line in Halifax if it happens.
That's awesome. I think I'd love the conversation to start up again because there was a lot of hope and a lot of optimism when that 10th team it felt like it was right there, and then it kind of just all fell apart. So I would love that, at least the conversation to start up again and maybe get some excitement.
Hey,
around
maybe
it,
by the time the NHL salary cap goes up again, maybe we'll be talking
the
about
timeline.
expansion for the CFL. So.
Anyways, Justin, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I think we covered a lot of ground here tonight. I really appreciate that, and we'll do it again maybe before the season starts or a couple weeks in.
Thanks a ton, Justin.
You bet, boys. Hope the weather's nice out there.
It's not too bad.
It's a little hot. We'll be all right, though.
It's a dry heat, as they always say. It's a dry heat. Anyways, Justin, we'll talk to you again soon.
Take care, Justin.
Enjoy. See you, fellas.
All right. That was Justin Dunk, 3DownNation. Make sure you check it out, 3downnation.com.
Man, he's insightful. I just got to say it,
he's okay at what he does, eh?
Every answer is just so well thought out, and he's just so knowledgeable about every topic. Again, every time we talk with Justin, I do feel supremely more knowledgeable about the CFL just because of the way he lays it out for me. It's the Michael Scott meme. Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And he does a very, very good job of that in a very articulate way, so I appreciate Justin's time and insights.
As always, our video chats are brought to you by our friends at IKS Media. IKS Media is the premier destination for live events, live broadcasts, live streaming, basically anything with the word live in it. They can do it pretty decently. We are sitting in the IKS studios, and we always appreciate those guys. It's a great team over there.
The nice and cool IKS Media studios. Oh.
They fixed the air conditioner. When we come back from our break, we are going to be jumping right into the Bluebird block brought to you by our friends at RBI Regina. We got a lot of Blue Jays stuff, some MLB All-Star Game stuff to dive into. And then after that, we're getting back into the 18,000 topics we didn't talk about in segment 1 with the NHL.
Yeah, we got a few of those.
We got a few NHL topics.
Justin helped us with a couple.
If you have any Blue Jays questions or concerns or topics or baseball in general, send them in now. If you have any NHL topics, send them in now, and we will have a lot of time to get to those for the rest of the show.
Are we going till midnight tonight or what?
We'll see.
Sorry, Jordan, we didn't tell you about that.
What's the over-under? So we'll see you in about 2.5 minutes.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Everyday hoop life.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. IKS Live, the proud producer of The Rod Peterson Show and The Recovery Hour. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
All right, we are back, and we are heading into our Blue Jays baseball segment, the Bluebird Block. We're getting really good at saying that. Brought to you by our friends at RBI Regina Baseball and Softball Training Facility. Love those guys. One quick one before we get into it. Robin Wildy, 20 years at $1 billion is the extension that they should give Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
20-year a Billy, hey?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So for Fernando Tatis Jr. got 14 years, right?
325
or 330 or something.
which is honestly ending up, well, if it continues this way, is going to be a bargain.
Can you imagine a $1 billion sports contract? I mean, we're probably not that far off from
Patty Mahomes is half a Billy.
I know.
So,
and I'm thinking there's got to be a soccer guy who probably made.
Oh yeah, didn't Neymar or somebody just sign for something stupid like $600 million?
Research time. Yeah, Alan, get on it.
Producer Alan.
What's the highest overall grossing sports contract that's ever been given
I wonder
out?
if like Cristiano Ronaldo's got to be up there too on a couple of his
50
deals.
mil a year, Robin says, 20 years billion. 50 mil a year. But here's the thing, okay,
But he's 22 already.
Yeah.
That takes him to his age 42 season. Then we got to worry about
just
all,
a quick little, I don't know, explanation is the right word, but so with Tatis's contract, it's 14 years, let's say it's like 325, just for argument's sake. I don't know the exact number. He's not getting like 20 million a year until year like 6.
Yeah.
The first 5 years are basically saying, here's your 6 years, because he's already under control for that many years anyways, because of how stupid baseball contracts are.
It's a goodwill type of signing move to say, here, you're going to be paid. Here you go.
Yeah, so like, for example, if they didn't sign Vladdy at all.
14,330.
330. So if they didn't sign Vladdy at all, then next year he's already due to make like $1 million. The year after that, he's already due to make like $1.5 million. Like, that's already set. That's how baseball works. So Tatis won't make like $10 million until year like 4 or 5 of this deal or something. That's how stupid baseball contracts are.
Cat
and then
Friendly
after
needs to
that,
get on baseball.
Yeah,
because Spot
well,
Rack
Spot Rack,
sucks.
yeah, it's not great. But after that is when Tatis starts making like 30 million, 40 million. Like he gets really high, but it's not averaged out. It's how baseball. It's anyways. Well, let's do
Baseball contracts
Let's talk
are-
about something different.
Yeah.
Robbie Ray.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah.
Baseball contracts.
Baseball contracts.
Here's 20 minutes on that.
Robbie Ray doesn't make the All-Star team, and Max, you're mad. You're calling it a snub.
Yeah.
Now, I know Robbie Ray has had kind of a breakthrough comeback year. Tell me about it. Why are you mad?
Well, I've just loved what he's brought to this team this year. Obviously, again, he was quick out of the gate in free agency. He wanted to come back to this team, right? 1 year, $8-9 million deal, whatever it was, to reunite with pitching coach Pete Walker. And they've really had a revelation in his game. And he's really developed some control in the strike zone, because that was the knock on him coming from Arizona was, can he hit the strike zone, right? The walks were a little high. And now he's just completely turned that around. And I believe 17 starts this year. He's 7-4. So, and I mean, his win totals could probably be a little bit higher if he wasn't on a team that has blown 10 games in the last 2 innings of each ball game. But I digress. I love the Blue Jays either way. It's just been a little frustrating at times, boys. Clean those ones up. But Robbie Ray, 7-4. Second in the American League in strikeouts with, I believe, like 134 already. Tied for 10th in wins. Fifth in ERA with like a 3.13 ERA. Like he's been lights out. He's been truly incredible. He's pitched his way into the conversation of, is he the true ace of this staff? Especially while Hyunjin Ryu has maybe gone through some issues.
Well, and as our buddy
guy
Craig
Ross Stripling's been.
Craig Ballard said a couple weeks ago, it was like a historically bad month of time for Ryu.
Absolutely.
Which is
and Robbie Ray's starts were kind of the saving grace within that time, right? He was the slump buster. He was the guy that you knew that you could go out, you were going to get 5-6. He just twirled a beautiful 7-inning gem against the Tampa Bay Rays, a team that you need to beat to claim the AL East division, especially this year. He's just gone out and been everything and then some. And I'm looking at him and wondering, as we talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s contract extension, what does a contract extension look like for the 29-year-old Ray, who has been a revelation? I may have coined that phrase on Twitter. Either way, Robbie Ray's been exceptional, and I absolutely love it. Tightest pants and sleeve combo in the league. That's got to count for something.
Hey, did you start the tight Robbie Ray Pants Twitter account yet?
I didn't. I noticed they liked my tweet though, so that was kind of cool. Appreciate that.
Wait, they already have an account.
Yeah, they already have an account. I never started it. No,
I
think Ross told us about that. He said that's one of his new favorite Twitter followers. But regardless, he's been fantastic, as has Ross Stripling. So I mean, the Jays again. We talk about the issues.
And Manoah.
And Alec Manoah has been very,
he had a
very
rough
good
day
as well.
the other day.
Yeah, a little bit of
not
rough.
bad.
But
I mean,
again,
he's a rookie. You have to expect
young
that.
pitcher, right? He's going to go through those ebbs and flows, ups and downs, as it were. But man, going back to Robbie Ray again, he's been the stopper, right? That's what you want out of somebody. Again, you're not expecting it out of the guy that makes $8 or $9 million a year, but again, he's pitching his way into, I don't know, do we look at it as a J.A. Happ type contract when he got a 3-year, what was it, $55 to $60 million extension 10 plus years ago?
Right. Yes, exactly.
I would use that very much as the comparable. Obviously, it's easy to point to with them both being left-handers, and again, just I love the way that he pitches. He's got the grunt every pitch. He's out there and he competes every single pitch, and I absolutely love that about Robbie Ray. And I think he was an all-star snub this year. Jay's bias aside, I think he's been absolutely fantastic. And again, second in strikeouts, fifth in ERA, tied for 10th in wins with a handful of other guys. He's just been phenomenal, and I really hope that he continues to progress, and I hope that he chooses to do so for multiple years as a Toronto Blue Jay alongside Pete Walker.
I will point out the Jays did have 4 All-Stars this year.
Yeah, but the Red Sox sent 5, so I'm mad. So I'm big mad about that. Because
big mad.
The Red Sox.
Hashtag big mad.
Robbie Ray should have been there. Hands down.
Craig Ballard, our good friend and soon to be regular on the show.
Yeah, seriously.
Has commented. He's sent us a tweet.
Excellent.
He said, "Is the return from the All-Star break the perfect time to move George Springer to the leadoff spot permanently?" What are your thoughts? You have any instant thoughts on that?
I mean, your leadoff guy is an all-star right now in Marcus Semien. I know that, I understand the value that he could provide a little further down the lineup, especially with his power. I don't see why not with George Springer. Again, we look at his career and what he's done from the leadoff spot. Maybe that's what's attributed to his slower start here. Maybe it is that uncomfortability with being in the 5-6 hole. Again, he was injured for, 65 games? So at least in that range, I know they wanted to work him back up.
Yeah.
He seems like he's going to be okay the rest of the year now. He's had a couple of instances where if things were going to go south on him injury-wise, knock on wood, it's not appearing that it's going to do so again. So I don't know, why not? At this point, you're 4.5 games out in the wild card right now, 8 back in the division. maybe you do need a little bit of a shake-up to establish some consistency, and why not give the guy the shot that you gave 6 years, $150 million to? He's been back for 15 games now. Give him a shot at leadoff. What's it going to hurt you?
I know a buddy of mine. You might know the name Brett Barth. Remember that name at all by chance? Played baseball with him. And he was a staunch leadoff hitter.
Your favorite word tonight is staunch.
Have I said staunch
You
more
said
than once?
staunch a few times.
Well, good. It's a good word.
You put it on the docket a few times.
He was a avid guy. Like, I need to be the leadoff hitter, and if I'm not, I just feel weird, and my whole night's off.
Yeah.
And I don't know if George Springer is necessarily in that conversation, but the power in the positivity in this is that either way, it's a pretty damn good lineup.
Oh, absolutely, right? And that's the thing.
Wherever it is, hashtag Springer Dingers.
Hashtag
We have to come up
Springer.
with one for Semyon. I don't know, is anything... We have to come up with a good... yeah, we got to stay away from that. And get your mind out of the gutter, Max.
Sorry. Family Guy.
Maybe
Stewie
we'll go
laughed
with Marcus. Maybe there's some rhymes with Marcus we can come up with. The Jays. Oh, sorry, no. Let's go with this one. I was going to say the Jays are
You were going to
planning
say
on...
the Leafs.
No, I was going to say the Jays are coming back to Toronto. But let's go with this one first. We had a great conversation. Again, shout out Craig Ballard. Is this the year the Jays go for it? Now, there's been all sorts of trade rumors with, big name guys, younger guys with control, rental guys, former Cy Young winners, former All-Stars,
Older
guys like
guys
that.
that can still bash a baseball.
Yes, Nelson Cruz. So,
Guy's aging like a
is
fine
this
wine.
the type of year that we say, you know what? Let's just go for it. Let's bring in Max Scherzer and Nelson Cruz and insert old guy here. Or is this a year, and we talked about this before the show a little bit, where maybe you go out and make a really strategic move that will pay off for 3 or 4 years, might not win you the World Series this year, but puts you in a better position next year to go for it. What do you think, Max?
Like they've already done with the Adam Simber trades and the Trevor Richards trades. You got guys that are under control for multiple years. Maybe Simber is, one more year after this year?
No, I think he's under control for like
Just
2
you
or
got
3 years. I
Either
think.
way, right?
Multiple years.
So you've got a couple of reliable bullpen arms. Trevor Richards with the potential. He could be a starting pitching candidate out of spring training next year, but he's been great out of the pen. Why mess with a good thing,
Yep.
right? Especially when that's the area that your team needs the most help in. So the way that I'm looking at it, especially after our chat with Craig, who again was very, very insightful and absolutely loved his take on it, he talked me off the ledge of the expectations, dialing it back a little bit. And I put out a tweet the other day just saying, okay, here's what the Blue Jays and this could have gone back. Twitter, you need to up your characters. It's time for guys that can write essays like myself.
You think Twitter needs to go past 280?
Yeah, why not? Either way,
I think that's
going
opening
back
up to
to
a bad
2016, their first round picks, TJ Zoik, Logan Warmoth, who's still with the organization,
Yeah.
Nate Pearson. 2018 was, help me out,
18 Groshans?
Jordan Groshans. Yeah, absolutely. 19 was Manoah. Last year was Austin Martin. This year, a young stud in Gunnar Hoagland, which will transition perfectly into our next topic. But regardless, since Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro have taken over this team from the Alex Anthopoulos regime that kind of spent all of our farm currency like it was, I don't know, 5-cent candies on the trading block outside the 7-Eleven. I don't know. That's a good analogy maybe.
Yep,
But
no, it is.
regardless, I really like the direction. Keep your prospects, allow them to develop, gain even more trade value. What's another year of development going to hurt for Jordan Groshans, especially coming off a year where we didn't have minor league baseball? Imagine what his value is at this trade deadline versus next trade deadline when the Jays are possibly even leading the division by 3 or 4 games. They can go out, make the big move. And again, this is another team that Bo Bichette still doesn't have a full season of major league experience under his belt. Imagine the possibilities. And yes,
Yeah.
my brain literally does
And he's an
explode
all-star.
sometimes watching. And he's an all-star. Like, there's just so many positives that I think we just need to be okay with. If the Jays finish over 500 this year, that's my new expectation is, okay, if they finish over 500 this year, that is a good season with some good steps taken. Rant over. But Craig Ballard, thank you very much for dialing back my expectations and understanding that next year is a short time away in the grand scheme of things. Keep your prospects. I like the plan. I trust the plan.
The new hashtag for the Blue Jays should be hashtag staunch sustainability.
Hey,
Staunch.
sustainability.
Staunch sustainability.
Yep.
The Jays are coming back to Toronto. The plans have been laid out. I think the end of July. I think it was July 30th, if I'm not mistaken, which is like 2 weeks away.
Not far.
They are coming back to Toronto now. I feel like I've seen a bunch of stuff where there might be a couple of snags, but overall they're coming back. It sounds like it's happening.
The boys are back.
Boys are back in
They're
town.
coming back.
Um,
whatever it is.
I'm seeing somebody. Are you? What's going on our Google?
I'm getting really excited. Robbie Ray's
Are you typing
down
back there,
no,
Alan? No, I'm seeing people typing or something. I don't know what's going on
Alan
back
wants
there.
us to talk about this. That's why.
The All-Star game is tonight. Vladimir Guerrero almost ended Max Scherzer's life. Now, this is highlighted. Alan, do you have something to show us? Is that what's going on? Are you speaking to us like the wall in Stranger Things?
Hey, there we go.
Oh,
We've
we
got
got
the
a picture.
nice.
Okay.
That's a very nice logo. I do like that for Colorado. That's man.
The Rocky Mountains.
Imagine if their left side of the infield looked as good as that logo.
That was
Man,
a really
oh, man.
funny text that you sent me the other night. Imagine having Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado on the same infield. You did, Colorado.
Yeah,
Anyways,
and they're going to lose Trevor Story too.
Vladdy, I
Oh.
guess, almost took Scherzer's head off with a line
And then he gave him a
drive.
nice big hug,
Hugged
saying,
him.
"It's okay, Max. If you do want to come to our team, not for a top-end prospect because Washington decides to be Kevin Adams and just give him away for nothing."
Yeah, give him Anthony K.
Yeah.
Anthony K.
And some
for Max Scherzer.
some cash considerations.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I like it.
If Max Scherzer wins us a World Series, he's on the hill for Game 7. We'll give you $250K cash in a briefcase with your logo on it.
Seems like a plan.
engraved. Done.
I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
I should run the team.
Let's text Shatkins after the show.
Let's do
Ross
it.
and
Let's do it.
Mark. Gunnar Hoagland, you kind of mentioned that, and the video of Irv Carter was Gunnar Hoagland was the first round pick for the Jays, and then day 2 of the how did the draft work? There's like 52 rounds.
Exactly, because last year, right, we only had 5 rounds. So
Right.
that's
They
a pattern that
expanded
a
it
few
again.
teams are now following, right?
There he
so
is.
there's our
There's
man,
Gunnar.
Gunnar Hoagland,
Great name.
fresh off at Tommy John.
Okay, I actually missed that. I didn't see that. He had a
Gotcha.
great
So
year. I
anyway,
saw the stats.
in Ole Miss, he was pitching on his way to top 10 pick trajectory. This was a great value pick for the Toronto Blue Jays if he can rebound from TJ at a very young age.
Yeah.
Right. This is where it's a good. I saw a comparison. This is the Dodgers. They took a risk very much like this with Walker Buehler, and look what he's turned into. He's turned into a pretty good starting pitcher. So I mean, with Gunnar Hoagland, it's going to take some time. He's not going to pitch for at least, I don't even want to say a calendar year, but at least the next 7-8 months, he won't be throwing a baseball. So the guy's got the talent, obviously. He was kind of pitching himself into that top 10 conversation. The Jays snag him at 19. This is a good pick. And then if you look at their day 2 results today, very much the same pattern that a lot of teams are.
Irv Carter.
If you were a pitcher, if me and you were pitchers, we might have been picked this year with how
Dang
many
it.
arms were gone in this draft. If you look at the Cleveland Indians, the Toronto Blue
a
Jays.
kid from Regina got drafted.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I didn't
Thomas
know that.
Ireland, I think is his name. He's actually, speaking of, we're right next door to inside pitch baseball training.
He might be there right
I shouldn't have
now.
said that because but he trained there. So anyways, there's that.
We'll just edit that
But
out
yeah,
later,
cool,
guys.
cool kid from Regina. Getting a couple Saskatchewan kids got drafted.
Man,
late
and
in the
again, it's
draft.
because of our partners, RBI, Regina
yes, our
Baseball, and
RBI
softball
Regina is
training.
leading the way.
Exactly.
And there's others as well.
Absolutely.
That's how we have to approach that. We just saved it.
you really, Raphael.
we're next door
You
to them.
really Raphael leased that one.
Saved
up.
it or blew the
No,
save?
you blew the save.
Oh,
hard.
boy.
But anyways,
Max-
I like the Jays draft plans overall. Again,
Yeah.
it's you're sticking to a system, and it's a team that lacks pitching. So why not load up your farm system with more arms?
Sure,
right?
absolutely. Craig Ballard, I'm going to put this one in here, just again, tweeting us. The idea of making a trade to address the next 3 to 4 years as opposed to all eggs in for this year is brilliant. Now, I think there's a couple of names. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but the one that keeps coming up is Jose Barrios from the Twins.
Yep.
He's a guy who has, I think, 3 or 4 years left of control as a starting pitcher, and he's already got starting pitching experience pretty good. That's a good name. There's a couple other guys like that, but I think the argument is if you go out and get one of these guys now who are in their like mid-20s, who you have control of until they're like 30. I don't know. Baseball's weird, but if you get a couple of those guys now, that allows you then next year to go out and be like, okay, Max Scherzer's available. Let's go get that guy and really bolster our bullpen and our starting pitching rotation, and then we can go all in when we have 4 pieces that you're really happy and comfortable with, not when you have 2.5, depending on the month that Ryu is pitching in.
Exactly.
Now, last one, Max Muncy. This is just a weird and cool story. Max Muncy gets drafted in the MLB draft by the Oakland Athletics twice. This is Max Muncy now. Max Muncy is also an all-star he's an all-star, isn't he? Or he was close. He's been bouncing
had some
around the
good
league a little bit.
seasons.
But he there he is. He's with the Dodgers. He was drafted by the Oakland Athletics like 10 years ago, and they have the exact same birthday. So they were same name, same birthday, drafted by the same team. That's just weird. That's just weird. And like Max Muncy, it's not like his name is John Smith. Like Max Muncy is not like a super common name. They're not. I don't think they're even related by any stretch. So I don't know. Just a super weird story. Thought that we'd bring that up. Anything else you want to bring up, Max, before we shut her down?
Yeah, it was the exact same draft pick too.
The same pick, like first round, same pick, everything.
Overall pick.
25th pick.
25th. I may have read that incorrectly.
You probably did.
I Toronto Maple Leaf did.
The Bluebird Block is brought to you by our good friends, the absolute best training facility in Saskatchewan.
And the only.
RBI, Regina Baseball and Softball Training Facility.
That's a tough spill in the middle of contract negotiations, man.
Located just outside of Regina, they are Saskatchewan's premier baseball training facility. Premier. At RBI, they rise above the rest. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and their website as well. We're going to hit a break. We have a few hockey topics we want to touch on before we go here tonight. Oh, Robin Wildy saying Anthony Kay and Tanner Rourke. What's going on with Tanner Rourke?
He's gone.
He's gone, right?
Yeah,
he's not on the roster anymore.
DFA'd
Robin,
somewhere.
do your research.
Man, it feels like a lifetime ago that Tanner Rourke was on the Blue Jays.
I know, right? Anyways, we will see you in about 2.5 minutes.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Everyday hoop life.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. IKS Live, the proud producer of The Rod Peterson Show and The Recovery Hour. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Welcome back. We were just having a heated argument over what happened to Ryan Johansson's career, but we'll get into that another day.
He's a great playoff performer. You leave him alone.
That's a topic for another day. We missed out on a bunch of topics at the beginning of the show, and we're going to get to those now. The first one that we don't have to get too far into, let's just get it out of the way, kind of. In a way, Dominic Ducharme signs a 3-year extension with the Montreal Canadiens. And why I say we're just going to get it out of the way. It's just because we're not going to talk about it for 20 minutes.
Because he's the Habs head coach, Clark?
No,
Are
it's
you
just
still
'cause
a little bitter, Clark?
Just because we're not going to talk about it for 20 minutes. So we'll do our 5-minute conversation
Can we break
now.
down how his team came back from 3-1 to beat your team?
Sure. Now, there's an argument there.
Sure.
There's an argument there
Oh, it's
to be
there.
made. But Dominic Ducharme had a really weird season.
He did.
He had a losing record as a head coach.
Yep.
And then the magical playoff run.
Then Carey
And then he
Price
had COVID. So he actually missed a section where they won a bunch of games in the playoffs. And then he came back, and they lost in the Stanley Cup Final.
Because they clinched against Vegas, and then they lost the first 2 against Tampa. And then he came back for game 3.
Did they lose 3 or the first 3 games?
But he came back
Oh, he
for
came
game
back.
3. So he came back on a loss.
Yeah, but they
But they
clinched
did get a
Vegas
win.
without him, though. They clinched
right.
Vegas without. They beat Vegas without.
So
him.
what you're saying is they should have signed Luke Richardson.
Well, no, that's just the there's that. I saw my buddy Leafs fan MD.
Man, you were going to get Caulfielded
Massimo.
out for this all day long.
Oh yeah, but Massimo, he put out a couple of tweets today just trolling Habs fans. He's like, "Oh wow, I can't believe Habs fans are so excited to sign a losing record coach." And I was just like, "Mass, they just made the Cup final, Mass."
man.
So I had to I called him out a little bit. He knew he was trolling, but
boy.
anyways, we had a little bit of fun with that. I don't know. Is there anything else you really want to say? How do you not bring a coach back after taking them to the Cup final?
I don't know. Ask the Washington Capitals.
No, Yep, you're right. You're not wrong.
I don't know. Let's ask the
Barry
Washington
Trotz.
Capitals.
That's a different. I'm talking like an interim head coach.
You're right. It is different. He won the Cup, and they still didn't bring him back.
You're right. And all over a couple of dollars. Zach Parise and Ryan Suter get bought out. Now, this is a great conversation to have. There was a bunch of comments early in the show that we didn't really get to. I'll just read a couple of them now.
Those jerseys, though,
Oh, yeah. I don't mind those ones. You don't like them?
they kind of remind me. Remember the Calgary Flames? They did the Superstore branded ones. I like the font of that, though.
I
There's
like
some
the font.
creativity there.
Yeah.
The Superstore
Hockey
Calgary
to Hell
Flame.
and Back, which is actually a guy I'd love to get on this show at some point,
Yeah.
Brady Leovold. He said Suter is very valuable to any team. Ryan Suter, the Preds, former Pred.
Going back.
Speaking of that, Jason Wall on Facebook was asking before the commercial break. Jason Wall said, "What's with the Preds gear?" Super fan over here. And Pecorine retired, and so we had to decorate the set.
I'm
with,
sorry, Jason. I don't know you from a hole in the ground, but yeah, franchise icon retired today. It was kind of
we
big
had
news.
to do it. We
It's
had
kind
to
of
do
big
it.
news.
Kind of big news.
Yep.
Myron, my buddy Roan Diggs checking in. I'm coming in late, but congrats, Clark, on being able to talk about the Leafs again. Yes, thank you, Myron. Yes, we haven't yet really. So you're welcome, Max.
You're right. You're trying to bring him up in the Duncan Keith trade rumors, even though he'd already
No,
been traded.
I was making a comparison.
yeah,
There was a
words are
couple other
hard.
conversation or comments on YouTube. Where was it earlier in the show about the Ryan Suter, Zach Parise? I think maybe it was on Facebook. Let me just check Facebook really quick. But overall, Max, these two players throughout their careers have been impact players. Ryan Suter still has a lot of gas, I feel like, in the tank. And I don't know if he's in the exact same conversation as Duncan Keith necessarily.
For what he's going to get paid, I would take Ryan Suter in a heartbeat.
That
over
is
Duncan
exactly
Keith.
the conversation we need to be having. Is Ryan Suter is probably gonna, because he got bought out, he's probably gonna sign a super cheap short-term deal with somebody. Max keeps pointing at the Predators jersey.
With the Nashville Predators.
So he started with the Predators, and so that's definitely an
I don't know.
option.
I had a take brought up to me today that he would also look very good in Colorado too. Because
that's
again,
the thing about Ryan
he's
Suter.
another guy without a cup.
If you can sign a guy like Ryan Suter for like $2.5 million, literally 32 teams should be calling his agent right now.
32 teams will be.
And the thing about him being bought out is I believe he's allowed to actually sign right away.
He's allowed to sign anywhere. They are
Like
unrestricted.
right now, like before free agency
I don't know
happens.
if it's before free
I
agency.
think buyouts are different than free agents.
Buyouts are different than free agency. They are now unrestricted free agents, but isn't there a signing window that now Seattle's going to have a 3-day period to negotiate
Yeah, I
with?
feel like buyouts are different, though.
It's
I
a
think they
very
can sign anywhere.
convoluted thing with some of these new expansion rules that we'll do some reading up on.
Yeah, we'll
but-
search it up a little bit. But there's a very decent chance that by our next show, they might both have contracts.
They might, yeah.
Zach Parise is the other guy, and I mean, there's again
Remember
another
how
guy.
heavily rumored he was to go to Long Island at the trade
Yeah,
deadline?
the
and they
Andrew
just
Ladd
couldn't-
trade. It
yeah,
never happened.
They just couldn't quite get
There's
him.
obviously a big connection there. Lou Lamoriello. I believe drafted him in New Jersey. So there's like a high chance he ends up in the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
But
These
there's
guys
another
are also
guy, though.
well off enough. They signed, 13-year, $98 million identical contracts.
And they're going to
to
get
one
paid for
another.
8 more years.
I remember that day. Again, another sad day. All-star caliber defenseman from the Predators leaving to go to Minnesota. But man, I remember when they both introduced them at the press conference, or the Minnesota Wild ownership group introduced them at the press conference. It was like the 4th of July. It was just massive party day. I remember that day so clearly because, again, obviously the Ryan Suter connection, but just how optimistic that fan base was now that they acquired 2 perennial all-star caliber players, and they made it past the first round once, maybe.
Yeah, they didn't live up to it. And
it didn't quite pan out.
They didn't do enough around those guys in order to give them a chance.
They couldn't. They were a little hamstrung by those contracts.
The interesting part about Suter, I think, is probably in line for a $2 to $3 million contract.
Yeah.
Again, these guys are getting paid for 8 more years regardless.
Exactly.
They could retire right now, and they're good.
Yeah.
But Parise, given his injury history, he might be a guy that does the Jason Spezza route, where he
Very
goes
well could.
$750K because he
could still chip in 35,
but he
40
can
points
still
a
chip
year.
in, and
As long as he stays healthy, right?
if you put him on a line with some like really young, skilled players, Matt Barzal. Well,
thinking
Matt
out loud.
Barzal and maybe like Anthony.
I don't
Beauvillier
necessarily know if he's up again in that top 6 conversation anymore in his career. I think maybe he's kind of diluted.
Maybe
a little
second
bit.
line left wing.
Could
maybe
depending
power
on the
play.
team.
Maybe
Depending
put him
on
with like Eberle, and maybe you put him with
the Edmonton Oilers
JP
should
Pajot.
be ringing up Zach Parise right now.
JG Jen. It's Pajot. I said
JG.
JG. Yeah.
JG Pazzo.
But that's the Oilers. Like, again, 32 teams should be calling this guy's agent right now, other than, I guess, the Wild, because they just bought him out.
Just with the numbers, right? Like, that's the thing. At the end of the day, when you look at what these guys can sign for and what they could still add in terms of value and experience, talk about guys that, again, albeit not necessarily in the NHL, Olympic pedigree, both of them. With the U.S. national team. And, again, just guys that, again, they didn't do anything wrong necessarily. It's kind of that changing of the guard period for the Minnesota Wild. We saw it with Kirill the Thrill. They're obviously in some heated contract discussions with him, trying to get him to remain in the green. I always just say green when I talk about Minnesota.
Green and red.
The green and red.
Beige.
The Christmas trees. Yeah. We'll just call it, to remain in Christmas tree green and red.
With that in mind, though, with Kaprizov, like this year, so the discussion then switches to, are the Wild screwed? Like, are they hooped for the next long time? And what this does, and it's complicated, trust me, we won't get into the exact minutia of this, but year one, they actually get $10 million plus of cap relief. So this gives them an opportunity to go get Kaprizov now, sign him to his long-term deal that he wants. They have all sorts of money right now, and then figure it out next year. They can sort it out next year, because next year, although they save money on the overall amount that they were paying Parise and Suter, they actually have to like add dead cap to their salary. So I think what happens is the cap hit goes this year to like 1.8 million or something. Next year, their cap hits, I think, is 6.3, and then the year after that, it's like 7.3
for 2 seasons.
For 2 seasons. So years 3 and 4, the Wild they're hurt. It hurts them a lot,
and they're heading back to the Central Division.
Again, overall, they're still gonna save money, but it hurts them because they have a lot of cap that they just can't use.
It's funny that the general manager Bill Guerin made this decision, because by the end of this buyout period, where the Wild are going to be drastically affected by this substantial number, right? This staunch number, as it were.
I think that's not the right word.
I think I heard that word.
You don't know what this word means.
I don't think for Canada.
We'll get into that another time.
Regardless, it's interesting because Bill Guerin might not be around to see the end of this possibly disastrous period, unless he's been given some guarantees from ownership.
No, but no GM gets an 8-year guarantee.
Exactly, right? Regardless of the moves made. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this may look like a strategic decision that sets him up for his next employment opportunity, but he'll get Kaprizov locked up like ownership wants. It's going to be tough sledding, especially in years 3 and 4, where, as Elliot Friedman, we allude to it nearly every show, the cap is likely not going up for another 4 seasons. 4 to 5 seasons.
At least 3.
So that year 3 and 4, $7 million in dead cap hit, that's going to be
I'll be very curious, Max, to see, with the TV deal coming in the States, tickets opening up again with all stadiums basically across North America, I wonder if it gets sped up a little bit. And now, I hate to say that because I know they're in a hole. And I know Elliot Friedman has said what he said, and I get
but
it.
he literally took those factors in. And I'm not trying to
with
belittle
those
your
factors in,
with those
he's
factors
already,
in, he's
even,
still saying that even with sold out buildings,
Yeah.
a new TV
Increased
deal in the
interest.
U.S. increased interest, unless it would take some
what if
sort of
what if
it would
another
take
team,
a Dana White buyout of the NHL to possibly bring them back to any
maybe the
sort
Rock
of.
buys the NHL. Maybe the XFL.
Let's start those negotiations.
Maybe the
eh?
XFL canceled their CFL
Hey, the Rock does have a
conversations.
hockey connection. What was that movie he was in? The Tooth
Oh,
Fairy or
God.
something?
Max. Maybe the
Never saw
XFL broke off the CFL conversation so they could go buy the NHL. Who knows?
I hope Ryan Reynolds buys
other
the
one
NHL one day. Could you imagine marketing if Ryan Reynolds bought the NHL?
I could see him buying a team. He owns a soccer team.
He owns a soccer team, yeah.
One other news and noteworthy thing I just figured we feel like we should mention. Eric Johnson. Now, this is what I thought Parise and Suter were going to do. Eric Johnson comes out and waives his no movement clause so that the Colorado Avalanche don't need to protect him in the Seattle Kraken draft. Now, what this does is Johnson, he's been he's been a soldier for the Avalanche, but he's not one of their top 4 defensemen.
A bit of a wounded soldier.
He's been
the last
hurt a
couple
lot.
Of years, yeah.
He has a pretty big cap hit right now, $6 million. So what this allows them to do is go out and protect more valuable younger guys on the roster. And Seattle's probably not taking Eric Johnson, so it allows them to keep a guy like Devin Taves, who is a massive acquisition for them.
Absolutely.
By the way, 2 second-round picks. And how did Joe Sakic not get GM of the year for what he did?
I
in
don't
Colorado?
understand that. That one made no sense. And again, though, Grandpa Lou, can't doubt him.
Yep.
Guy's a magician. What can
I don't
we
know.
say?
I think this is a real big team player move by Eric Johnson, and I think the deadline is like today. I think the deadline was today. And I thought we were going to hear guys like Milan Lucic was going to be another guy we thought we might hear do this exact same thing. And there was a couple other guys around the league.
There's a few guys that had the ability to.
Like bad contracts, so to speak, just with their production level now, that I thought we might hear by now that they were going to waive it. I don't know if that has to be publicly disclosed or not. I guess we'll find out in a couple days. But interesting news on the Seattle Kraken front nonetheless. Was there anything else that we wanted to mention NHL-wise? Let's just check the comments really quick.
It was a big day. That's
lot of stuff going
It was
on.
every 15 minutes we were back and forth. Oh my gosh, this happened.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that happened.
Gregory Lee, Alan Lee's brother, has asked, Max, you're going to love this. Would you like Toronto to trade for Seth Jones?
That actually does say Toronto, though.
Yes, I didn't say Chicago.
You did not.
I don't think so. Now, the reason I say this is because it seems like Seth Jones is pretty dead set on what he wants, and he doesn't want to go to a team he doesn't want to go to. So if he's going to get traded to Toronto, it's a 1-year stopgap, and then he's a free agent and he's going to leave. And I think the price for Seth Jones for any team is going to be through the roof. We've heard rumors of Chicago, and the rumor that I saw today is Kirby Dach or DeBrincat, plus Ian Mitchell, who's one of their top defensive prospects, plus first or second round draft pick. So
it's going to be a steep price.
I don't know if Toronto has those pieces, first off. And
they don't.
B, I don't think they should be sending it for Seth Jones, who's probably not a long-term solution for them. I don't know. Let's move off of the Leafs on this one, because we're going to have a lot of Leafs conjecture in the next couple of shows.
Are we? Damn it.
Let's see. Where do you think Seth Jones will like to go? Now, I think the Blackhawks make a lot of sense for me, because they're kind of a shifting team. I wouldn't call them like a total rebuild, knock it down, build it up again, but they're definitely close. And I think Seth Jones kind of fits the timeline sort of for them, because they do have some younger pieces like the Dachs and DeBrincats, and they have several defensemen who I actually think are going to be pretty good.
Yep.
Any other options that you really like for Seth Jones other than Nashville Predators?
Hey, man, we had him.
You had him.
It was one
you
of
had
those.
your chance.
We had our chance.
Ryan Johansson for Seth Jones. Would you do it? The other way around?
See, that's the thing, though. Again, you take into account the time, what the needs were at the team. Mike Fisher was our number one centerman.
I'm not
at
arguing
the time
the fact
of that
that it was
trade.
necessary.
And
Seth Jones was like your fifth defenseman
Seth
at the
Jones was
time.
our fifth defenseman. It was one of those, and we knew he was going to be a star.
Yeah.
We also thought Ryan Johansson was going to be a star for a little bit longer than he was. But regardless,
Shucks.
is what it is. I don't know. Chicago does really make sense for me, though, just when you evaluate everything that it could be. Again, I don't necessarily know, though. They're in flux a little bit. You'd like to think that Chicago could be like a Boston, where they have a bit of a renaissance, so to speak. But again, it's in flux. Is Jonathan Taves coming back? If Jonathan Taves is not there next year,
Sounds like he is.
Sounds like he is. He's back skating, which I'm super, super happy to see. I will say that Jonathan Taves was dubbed my favorite player in the entire league when Paul Kariya retired.
Captain Serious.
I love Jonathan Taves. I love everything he brings to that team. But he's got to be ready to go, firing on all cylinders. You got to have that linchpin defenseman like Seth Jones would bring that they don't necessarily have anymore with Duncan Keith gone as well as past his prime. But they do have some young, interesting pieces there. Like you mentioned, they've got a DeBrincat, but you're going to have to part with one of your young studs in order to bring Seth Jones in. So it's a team that makes sense for me, but I could also see a team like his hometown Dallas Stars making a pitch for him too. I really
didn't
could.
know Dallas was his hometown.
Dallas was his hometown of Texas, yep.
I could see
or
that.
at least that's where he was raised. Because his dad played in the NBA, Popeye
Right.
Jones. So
Was he not a Raptor at one point?
I think he was.
Now, here's what I don't know about Seth Jones. Like, it's the scene from The Notebook, right? Where, what do you want? What do you want? Just tell me what you want. Like, what does he want, really? I don't know. Like, he seems
wants out of Columbus.
It seems like a lot of teams would be interested in acquiring him, but A, the price is too high, and nobody knows what his long-term wants are. One team I could see, just with the way they've been
I honestly
adding,
thought Columbus was the perfect place for a guy like Seth
Zach
Jones.
Werenski,
To be
they
quite
got a bunch
honest.
of young kind of guys coming up. One team I like with just, and you might cringe a little bit, L.A. with adding Victor Arvidsson, maybe
Don't
adding
hate
a
it.
Seth Jones to play with or behind a Drew Doughty.
Bunch of former Preds go win a cup in L.A. Yep, I can
They
see
seem
it.
like they're kind of
Make
trying
a
to do
movie
something
about
over
it.
there
Yep,
in L.A.
got it.
Another team like the Anaheim of the world, like those kind of teams.
I think they're getting Jack Eichel.
maybe.
I think they're getting Jack Eichel. We could maybe clip this for a little bit down the road, but I think the Anaheim Ducks could really put together the package. Now, again,
I like the Kings in that one too, though.
What does it cost you, though?
Yeah.
Again, does this look like a Jack Eichel as Trevor Zegras going the other way?
Let's
I don't
use
know.
let's use the Taylor Hall trade for reference. So a second-round pick and a middling 24-year-old forward. That's the price for Taylor Hall. So in terms of Buffalo's prices, what is Jack Eichel?
I
third-round
think
picks.
if you're Kevin Adams, right, you got to get ownership to sign off on that deal. And knowing what the Pagulas know about football, and that's Buffalo's problem, though, is the fact that the Pagulas seemingly have to sign off on everything. And I don't know if you're Kevin Adams, it might be risking your job to go up and have that stern conversation with them, saying, "All right, this is my team." What's that saying? Oh my goodness! There's Brian Burke was famous for saying it. There's two hands on the steering wheel, and they're both mine.
Yeah.
That's what he said to the
The
Samuelis.
second you put a third hand on the steering wheel, I'm out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what he said to the Samuelis back when he was hired to be the general manager of the Anaheim Ducks and went on to win their only cup in
I believe
franchise
his
history.
exact quote was, "It's my team. Stay the F out of it."
Pretty much, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
actually reignited into finishing his book that I got a little
like
while
Brian
ago. It's
Burke a lot.
fantastic.
I don't know if
but
I've said that to you, Max. I like Brian Burke.
Brian
quite a
Burke's
lot.
a good guy. Hey, we should get him on the show. I think we've said that a time
He's
or
been on the
six,
Rod
too.
Peterson show. Just saying. If you have any last minute questions, rapid fire them in right now on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, shoot them in. The only thing we have left really to talk about, and it's all kind of speculation
Me winning
at this
$70
point.
from Pete Alonso.
Yeah,
last
Pete
night.
Alonso won you $70 from the MLB Home Run
Doesn't
Derby.
even
Congrats,
matter that I
Max.
bet on three
You
other
can use that
guys.
$70 to buy me my Popeyes gift card.
No. That's going to be a long paid out bet. It's
I'm waiting
going
on
to be the
this.
stretch pass that got to Matt Duchene when
You're
going to
make me wait. You're going to throw me a double or nothing bet at some point, aren't you?
Might be coming. Might be in the wheelhouse. Yep.
You know, we could just have a Popeyes dinner together at some point before a show, and I'd call it even. I honestly not even worried
That
about
might
it.
be the play.
I kind of cheated anyways, so like I think we.
Okay, thank you for at least admitting that.
I kind of cheated. I didn't cheat fully. I skirted around
the
it.
Matt Duchene offside was the perfect metaphor
Yes,
for
I
how
danced
it worked.
around it, but the results ended up that I won. So like, there's a little way, there's a little leeway if you buy me one.
You became
chicken
Natalie
sandwich
Portman
dinner.
from Black Swan dancing around like that. That's what you did.
There you go. You could honestly make a meme about that.
probably-
Put my face on that movie.
Would
and
the wife appreciate that though? Probably not.
why not? Natalie, she's a good actress.
A little bit of better
We'll
body type.
probably wrap it up here. We were gonna talk about the Seattle Kraken, but honestly, at this point, we only have a few minutes. Really, we probably are over time already.
We got 8 days to prep it
What
up,
do we
man.
get into with the Kraken that is going to take us less than?
Well, I think we can commit to this now. We had discussions about doing a Sunday show,
yes,
and I know that we've been promising it for a few weeks, but I am legitimately here.
yes, this weekend.
This weekend, Sunday mid-afternoon, early evening for our viewers on the East Coast. I think we maybe do a little bit of extravaganza.
An extravaganza.
An extravaganza. Extravaganza.
Let's work on that.
We'll work on that.
It's close. There's another word.
The marketing department's still bandying about a few things.
So this Sunday, I believe I'm also on board with this. So this Sunday, we are going to be able to see.
That'd be really awkward if you weren't.
Well, this Sunday we're going to be able to see the protection list. They'll be out. So me and Max are going to jump on StreamYard, which is our out-of-studio broadcasting format, and we're going to do basically a Kraken draft. We're going to go through each team's list. We're going to say who's available and who we might pick. Maybe we'll actually do 2 teams. We'll see which team is better.
Yeah, we can set one up with our friends at Cap Friendly.
That might be fun.
We really got to cut a clip for them or something, because I know that we're not directly tied with them.
They do have a premium service. I bet we could reach out and see if they want to sponsor.
Man, they're
the show.
just we use them literally every week. Like
they're such a useful tool
for any hockey fan that is interested in just becoming more than a casual observer of the game and learning the contract side of things and just diving into it. Cap Friendly is the resource. It really is for all hockey fans.
Yes.
I really hope that they expand and get into baseball, football, etc. Because man, they've got.
The thing about hockey cap sites is that the guys always get hired by NHL teams. Yeah. That's what happened with Cap Geek. He got hired by Vegas. And before that, there was another one, too. Do you remember the other one?
I don't.
There was one before Cap Geek.
Is it a San Jose hire, though? I feel like I remember.
Yeah, somebody hired him to be their capologist. And it's like, geez, that'd be a nice little life change.
I don't know, man. I tell you what, it's like as much as I like the numbers, I don't love the numbers.
Some people do. I enjoy the contract things side of it, but I don't know if I could get the ins and outs of it like those guys do.
Like from a daily basis.
On YouTube, Rick Reschenthaler says, "Do you guys read the messages like Rod does? LOL." No, not really.
No.
Sorry, Rick. Not as much.
Yeah.
We can't put the YouTube ones on the screen. It's Rod's show has a different technology than we do. We can get into that another
Bit of a higher budget.
But Max, I think that's going to do it here for tonight. So make sure you guys tune in with us on Sunday for our special. We're going to make a graphic. We're going to preview or promo it. We're going to do all this stuff if Max has time, and I'll help. I'll help.
Thank you, good sir.
But we're going to do that. So tune in on Sunday. We're going to do basically a Kraken special. We're going to do a Seattle Kraken show.
An extravaganza. Actually, the more you say it, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
If you say it fast, it's like
As Donnie Burger says, it's not that bad, guys.
And then next week, we're going to do, I hope, a draft preview.
Yes.
We're going to have a special draft guest. We're this close to booking him, I'll say. So we're very close. We're going to have a very interesting show next week. And if we don't get the person we're thinking of, we have a secondary person. We might actually get her anyways. Maybe we'll just do a big show with the 2 of them. That would be fun.
Sign it up for 3 hours, boys. Bring your snacks.
Bring out the lunch pails.
Hey,
for
I
next
will
week,
say this
boys.
before we sign off for the night. Again, thank you very much to our fantastic partners, Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions, Hoop Light Basketball Training, RBI Regina Baseball and Softball Training, IKS Media, Vigor Lifestyles, and... Did I nail it?
Yeah, that's my line.
Yeah, I know. I crushed it. That's all right.
Tomorrow on the Rod Peterson Show, for those who are still kicking around, Sid Sixero is checking in.
Might have heard of him. That's a name.
John Forsland, the TV voice of the Seattle Kraken, he's also going to be joining us as well.
Hey, Clark, nice get.
Thanks, man. I was actually, because of our Twitter channel, at Team RP Show. Shout out to at Team RP Show. That worked out nicely.
Anybody wants a late night read? Pekka Rinne's article on the Players Tribune was an absolute fantastic read today. If you're just looking for stories, underdog story, fantastic reminiscing of his career as a Nashville Predator. Even if you're not a fan of the team, it was just a fantastic read that'll bring you a couple laughs.
We're going to get out of here before 9 o'clock hits. The clock cannot strike 9. We're out of here. See you on Sunday and then Tuesday again. Bye for now.
Take care, everybody.